Welcome to 3 R's. Well, 2 R's. He was even on time, but, he's gone out of the picture.
No, I dropped something.
There he is. Welcome to 3 R Sports, starting on time for the first time. Welcome to a very tired. Let's give him a very tired Robbie Davis.
Yes, it was a long day of travel yesterday. Accumulating with me getting traveling all through the night and getting to my house after a lift from the Atlanta airport to Chattanooga at 5 a.m. this morning is when we left Atlanta and then got in and then had to go to work. And then, so it's don't miss your flights, kids.
Robbie, for us that don't understand that lifestyle.
Palm Springs.
Palm Springs? Really?
Yeah, I was in Palm Springs for the weekend. And then
how's Morongo?
I wanted a nice evening to get home, and so I booked a 6:30 a.m. flight, and then got to even though I used to live in San Diego, I forgot how far the rental car return is from the airport.
It's a way.
Shuttle. Missed my flight at 7:30 or 6:30 in the morning, and it being Labor Day weekend, all the flights were booked. And so instead of a 6:30 departure, it was a 9:44 p.m. departure. And couldn't get to Atlanta, couldn't get to Chattanooga. And so my car was in the Chattanooga airport. My luggage was in Chattanooga. It was just me and logistics is not my strong suit.
So let me just go ahead and ask one thing. Did you stay in the airport from 6 to 9:45?
No.
Oh, thank God.
I went out and bar hopped.
Okay, good. Well,
that makes more sense.
Robbie Davis.
Yeah.
Also, welcome, and we're going to have a special guest later, a friend of Mr. Rogers, Raj Mehta from the West Coast too. This is a West Coast podcast. A lot of West Coast vibes here.
All the good quarterbacks in the South are from there. Sounds appropriate.
I knew he'd just kind of hang on to that one.
Or seems appropriate, but yes.
Roger,
good times.
We're not talking about baseball right now. We're going to talk about football. But can the Dodgers run the Giants down, or is it too late?
No, they're a game back. They lost 2 out of 3 in San Francisco. With 4 weeks to go, they lost 2 out of 3 in San Francisco, and they light up their pitchers. Walker Buehler was 13-2 with a 2 ERA, and the Giants got to him. And the Giants, they're having like 8 dudes that are having career years, and they're getting enough pitching, and they play good defense, and it's good baseball. They were expected to finish 3rd or 4th, and they're obviously not. So I wouldn't have it any other way. Well, I would have it another way, but the Dodgers and Giants, in my opinion, is the best rivalry in baseball, and to have them each 1 game apart with the 2 best records in baseball with a month ago, that's pretty sweet, if you ask me.
Well, there's some breaking. The Braves are struggling, and I'm sure we'll cover that later on. But the Braves put together a nice run with the pickups, and they're still in first place, but they're really kind of stumbling to the end. But we've been waiting for it. We've been excited for it. Tonight, it's about the start of football season. Robbie, while you were in luxurious Palm Springs, were you able to partake in some games?
I did. You know what? Because I have to kind of know what I'm talking about, or at least try to. I was jumping from pool to inside to watch some games, so I caught a little bit of a lot of action. The air conditioning was needed. It was a nice 112 degrees while we were there. So, yes.
Balmy. Of course, you don't have to watch games as proven by our fantasy league with our 2-time champion Lenny, who doesn't even own the TV. Raj, I know you were in Palm Springs, but how much time did you spend in front of the TV this weekend?
I saw a good bit of what I could tolerate. I'm always torn between, great offenses or just crumb defenses or great defenses or crumb offenses. Just the hyperbole kills me. But from what I saw, I don't think it was as cool like most opening weekends, but Alabama. Ugh. And hey, Rob, isn't it funny how people on the West Coast look at you weird when you're like, I'm going inside to watch football,
Yeah.
In the South, it's like you don't plan a wedding on a Saturday, and for good reason. But out West, they're just like, what are you talking about?
They're like college football started?
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
That's USC's fault.
Yeah.
Well, and we'll get to it just a little later. The Crosstowners have a big win on the board. So let's start at the top of the poll and start with the University of Alabama taking on Miami. Did anybody, and I think I said it on the show, I think a couple of us said it, any hope Miami had was gone with Derek King run his mouth about how they were going to beat Bama. That's when you sneak up on them. You don't come kicking down the front door. I thought Bama was very impressive. How about you, Robbie?
Yeah, so I watched a lot of this game. I was wrong. I thought Miami had a chance. I thought with all of Alabama, they don't rebuild. They just reload. It's 5-star guys coming after 5-star guys. But it's still your first time playing a good team, not a really good team, but a solid team and a solid program that Diaz is building there. And, man, it was just like, all right, here we go again. Everyone, and yeah, they looked great. Bryce Young looked great. It's just talent everywhere.
It would they're so good even after losing what they lost last year. Would it shock you if Miami ends up as a bottom half number 8, number 9 team in the country? I mean, I thought they're a pretty good football team. They could win the ACC from what I saw.
Yeah, that's one of these definitely. Like, I want to keep an eye on them in the next couple of weeks and be like, where was that game a little overhyped, or is Alabama that separated from the rest of college football at this moment?
I mean, there's no shame in that game. They got Michigan State in a couple of weeks, by the way. Miami. But yeah, quick note. What I thought was impressive is De'Aaron King threw the ball 31 times, and Miami rushed the ball 31 times. Now, granted, it was like a 2.8 yards per carry. And there's no shame into losing, number one, early, but number two, to an NFL team. If they can run the table with a pretty straightforward schedule, I don't see any reason why. They don't play Clemson, right?
Clemson and North Carolina lost this weekend. The ACC is a mess.
Yeah, they had a bad day, bad weekend.
Number 2 coming into the weekend was Oklahoma, and they struggled against Tulane. My preseason pick to win the national championship falls this week from 2 all the way down to 6.
Yeah, a Tulane team that don't forget, they've been displaced. They've been worrying about travel, where they're going to stay. All these things playing on a weekend of travel for people where it's hard to get hotels. There was a lot of distractions for that Tulane team, and they came close. That was kind of the oh my gosh, App State at Michigan moment.
Raj, did you see any of that game?
I saw a lot of it, actually. Number one, that QB, I don't think he'll be at Tulane 4 years. Michael Pratt, not to be confused with Spencer Pratt from Laguna or the Hills or whatever, kind of looked like that dude too. That guy was legit, dude. On top of what Robbie is saying, Tulane lost their offensive coordinator, Will Hall, who had the second and fourth highest scoring offenses in Tulane history. Will Hall became the head coach at Brett Favre University, Southern Miss. Now, he was replaced with Chip Long, who was like the Broyles runner-up at Notre Dame, and it's been around forever. And that offense, man, they have 2 good backs. They got Pratt, but they basically did what they, it looked like Oklahoma had put them away, but they didn't. And, I know Pratt's QBR was higher than, Rattler's QBR was higher than Pratt's, but I mean, I thought Pratt outplayed Spencer Rattler, as they call him. Hey-o, clever. I can't get over QB1. That kid was killing me. But, it's important not to overreact. However, no matter what you think about bad offenses, good defenses, if you saw like Georgia Clemson versus Oklahoma, there's a marked difference between, the top 5 teams in OU.
So interesting. I wanted to discuss Clemson, Georgia next. What a yawn fest. And I think I was most disappointed by Georgia's offensive output. There were 6 offensive points scored. The only touchdown came off of a Clemson interception. It was a snooze fest. And either Clemson and Georgia or the 85 Bears reborn, or both of those offenses got a long way to go. I mean, it was brutal, Robbie. What did you see of the game?
So I go the other way. I'm one of those. This reminded me of that Alabama LSU, the 6-3 game.
Yes, it was historically bad. That way.
I like the intensity of it. That one mistake is going to lose it, and that's what happened. Clemson made the mistake and pick 6. Georgia goes in. I hate to write teams off after 1 week.
Yeah,
but I don't see how Clemson gets into the playoff with that schedule, and even if Georgia falls off 1-2 in the West, I think the SEC's getting 2 in, and but yeah, I agree with you. Either those teams have great defenses, or both of those offenses have a long way to go.
Raj, what was your gut reaction?
Somewhere in between. I agree with you, Randall. It wasn't just great defenses. One thing about Georgia's, what's his name? Zamir White. That guy was crushing it, man. I mean, why didn't he get the ball more? I don't understand.
$1 million question.
Yeah, I mean, dude had he was averaging 6 yards per carry or something like that. And yeah, when I watch teams like Georgia, I've always said this: the eye test, especially someone coming from the Pac-12, is there's no way I need to whatever that Japanese team in Little League. I need birth certificates on these dudes, or Bishop Sycamore or something, because they're not. These kids aren't in college, dude. I've never seen people that look like that, let alone kids. But I just expected more from this game. Returning starters at quarterback. I was about to be proud and talk trash about. All I have are California quarterbacks, but those guys look crappy. Both of them had terrible QBRs. Both of them, all they could do is basically check down. Each guy averaged under 5 yards per completion, which is sad. Again, great DBs across the board, and not to, Georgia's got a what's his name? Kendrick? Is that the transfer from Clemson? I don't know if that factored into anything, but I'm not going to call it rationalize and say great defense and every play. It was intriguing, and I was on the edge of my seat because I wasn't. Now, that being said, are those 2 of the best 5 defenses in college football? Yes. But if the standard is Alabama, then those teams offensively and defensively are going to get rolled.
Let me ask you guys this. Does this, and I know it's one game and overreaction Tuesday, but does this at all change or at least make you curious about Dabo Swinney, about his team not showing up for this big game? And it's the first kind of big game he's had in a long time without generational talents at quarterback, being it Deshaun Watson and Trevor Lawrence.
Dude, DJ is strong, dude. He is.
He is a really, really good quarterback. He's not those 2 guys though.
Those 2 guys weren't considered that when they first got there as sophomores. They
Lawrence definitely was.
Okay, yeah,
a different
golden
view of it. I think they're missing a generational talent at tailback. That team without Travis Etienne did not look the same. And you have to remember, that team's had Amari Rogers on the outside. It's had Hunter Renfrow on the outside. That team offensively didn't look like DJ had the talent around him, to me, that Trevor Lawrence had, and especially at the tailback. I
think they finished with 2 yards rushing. 2.
Yeah, they did.
That's amazing.
The fall off from what I saw Travis Etienne be and Page at the tailback is to me, was more shocking than Trevor Lawrence to DJ.
I was expecting Alabama to look more like Clemson, really struggle on the offense, struggle to put new pieces in, and that was not the case. Good God, they're going to beat Tennessee by 45 points.
It might be 70
in the first
25
in the first half. Yeah, I agree, man.
Saban does like to take it easy on Tennessee coaches their first couple of years. He usually beats them by like 30. I think he beat Pruitt by like 31 on the dot or each, or maybe
yes. We just recently fired his prize pupil though, and his right-hand man Jeremy Pruitt.
Yeah,
playing Tennessee for Alabama or anybody is like preseason, man. They're not going to show you anything. It's all vanilla. But yeah, what happened to Justin Ross? Napa, California kid. Joseph Nyada was amazing, but I thought, the receivers would bail out DJ, but I agree with you guys. The offense was suspect.
Let's blow through a couple of other games that were kind of non-factors. Number 6, Texas A&M rolled up Kent State as they should. Number 7, Iowa State struggled with Northern Iowa. And I watched that game a lot because I happened to play the under, which is one of the best things I did. Maybe the only smart thing I did all day. So that shows you how my Saturday went. Iowa State is a very good football team, but they have to be motivated to play, and that was a very unmotivated team. I think Iowa State is a type of team that can take a big boy out, but they're not the type of team that can roll the footballs out and beat somebody, even Northern Iowa, by 30 points. Northern Iowa played harder, and it really looked like Iowa State was going through the emotions. Any reaction from either of you guys on that game?
I think for Iowa State, it was the classic look-ahead game. They've got Iowa coming in this week. Game day is going to be there. And you're right. They rolled it out.
It's Northern Iowa, dude.
Oh, no.
Look ahead. The starter should have been sitting on the bench after, the middle of the second quarter. I'm with you.
They forgot about a lot of those kids didn't get recruited by Iowa State, and so they wanted to play hard. And the other team, I think, was looking ahead, which is amazing to do for your first game of the season. But I think that and Iowa had one of the more impressive wins. I think my preseason Big Ten team flopped like a dog.
Yeah. Well, with that point about Iowa and Northern Iowa, do you think that Vandy got caught? Look at that.
Couldn't even spit it out, huh?
East Tennessee State beats Vandy like a drum. I had to throw it out there at some point.
Dude, I can't say anything either. I mean, with that game, too, I watched some of it real quick. Purdy, another check down wonder, dude. I mean, against Northern Iowa, they just kept everything in front of them. He was 21 for 26 for 177 yards. I mean, if you got Hall as your running back, you should be able to go over the top a few times. That was pretty ugly. And I'm not going to spoil anything, and Rob's probably thinking what I'm thinking, but, I mean, my bet your nuts certainly surrounds this game, and it does not favor Iowa. Never mind. I've given away too much.
Number 8, Cincinnati rolls over Miami of Ohio. The MAC were out for paychecks in week 1. Definitely. I thought that was pretty much run of the mill. Let's see here. I think we skipped a little bit there. I think we had some teams still idle this week. Let's go to number 11, Wisconsin versus number 19, Penn State. I thought Wisconsin, well, first of all, only slightly more exciting than Georgia Clemson. This game stayed 0-0 deep into the game. Finally, Penn State wins it 16-12. But again, both defense played well, but not much offense. It was Big Ten football at its finest.
At its worst or finest, I'm not sure which one to go with. The only good player seemed like Wisconsin running back, that Clemson transfer, Malusi. I don't understand why Penn State and LSU are losing teams last year, but suddenly, they're number 19 and 16, and now Penn State's near the top 10. What has changed? I just don't see that kind of jump. This game was ugly, and I saw a lot of it. Wisconsin offensively is going to do the same thing, and I can't. I think Tennessee would give both of these teams a game, and I don't mean that disparagingly. And probably Joe Milton would have to take the bench, but I just thought it was ugly football. I don't think it was great Big Ten action by any means. And like I said, I don't understand why these teams, especially Penn State, is suddenly so highly ranked. It was gross. And you did miss the Oregon game. I think they're higher ranked, but Oregon struggled with them. Well, they struggled with Fresno State, and their quarterback, Anthony Brown, barely made it at Boston College. And if Oregon's going to be in the Pac-12 championship, Brown will not be their quarterback.
I also was wanting to clear some room. Go ahead, Robbie.
Oh, I was going to just say, if that is an indication of Big Ten football in September, when it gets to October and November, it's going to be unwatchable. Like, that was a horrible, boring, and they each looked slow. You compare that to the defenses of Clemson and Georgia, another low-scoring game. At least, those defenses jumped off the screen. There's some players. Georgia would have hung 30 or 40 on either of those teams. Like,
right.
It just after Ohio State, the gap is really, really, really big for the next team in the Big Ten. And Ohio State's got a lot of pressure now to beat Oregon in this matchup coming up.
They're going to kill them. And aren't they 14-point favorites? Something like that?
They are. And
I think
Ohio State played on Thursday night, so the results are not here. They struggled at times, too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
brand new quarterback, tougher game on the road. Oregon's got Fresno State at home. The Oregon defense is legit. They've got playmakers. They can definitely confuse C.J. Stroud. But that offense was pathetic. And against that defense, good luck.
So besides the Oregon game, I wanted to go back and catch number 10. North Carolina gets beat by Virginia Tech 17-10 on Friday night. That really, to me, with Miami losing, Clemson losing, North Carolina losing, that was pretty much everybody we talked about in preseason from the ACC. It was as bad a night as ever. Sam Howell throws for 208 yards, but 3 picks. Ty Chandler, the Tennessee transfer, only gets 10 carries. North Carolina looked Friday night in disarray. Robbie, did you get to see any of that game?
Friday night, I was in the air. I missed most of it. I'll just, as we're talking, when's the last time you guys can remember 3 different top 25 matchups where all 6 teams didn't break 20? I mean, in college football, that's hard to – college football is so slow. It is so offensive friendly. And these teams are playing in the teens. I mean, that's amazing, really.
Great defense, bro. Great defense.
Yeah. It's not a good look for the ACC, and that's another reason why I go back to I think Clemson's going to have a really hard time. There's just not any more good wins on their schedule.
South Carolina, they better pray the Gamecocks are awesome because that's their last game of the year, right?
Because they don't play Notre Dame this year, if I'm correct on that.
I don't think so.
I believe
that was a good game too. Notre Dame, Florida State. I was impressed with Florida State, and they actually sold out their stadium, which is a rare thing for them these days.
So the new AP poll, if I've got it correct here, is Alabama 1, Georgia 2, Ohio State 3, Oklahoma 4, which I cannot believe Oklahoma State stayed at 4. Texas A&M 5, Clemson 6, Cincinnati 7, Notre Dame 8, Iowa State 9, and Iowa 10. So it's a top 10 battle this week with Iowa State. Let's go on and get through some more games. He mentioned the Oregon game. Number 12 last week, I believe, was. Let's just move ahead. I ain't worried about who's 12. Florida, kind of workmanlike with Florida Atlantic. Nothing to really talk about there. Number 14 last week was Miami. Number 15, USC. Of course, with a resident USC fan here, San Jose State's a pretty bad football team, but they did what they got to do.
Hey, San Jose State's the defending Mountain West champ. Their quarterback, Nick Starkel, wasn't great at Mississippi State, but, they returned a lot of talent. That being said, I'm rationalizing. That game was far too close late. Sam Howell is the most overrated quarterback in the country. Second is my boy Slovis. He held on to the ball forever. I've always thought that. I think he's going to have a magic injury and be replaced by Jackson Dart, the freshman, eventually. One good thing is Todd Orlando, the former Texas defensive coordinator in the USC defense, played very well against a lot of returning talent. Again, it wasn't Georgia or Clemson, but I'm not harboring any delusions about this being a playoff team. Defense played well. They didn't do a lot offensively, but they had some nice transfers make plays. And 30-7. Nice week 1 result, if you ask me.
And San Jose State was decent last year. You're right. But the next 2 games we're going to spend a large amount of time on. So I want to get to the gut reaction, and we'll spend quite a bit of time here. UCLA 38, number 16 LSU 27. Not really a game that was that close at any point. I don't feel like LSU was ever threatened by UCLA. LSU's defense looked as equally bad against UCLA as it did last year to start the season against Mississippi State. My gut reaction, though, is UCLA might be a better football team than we thought. Going around the horn, we'll start with Raj, then come to you, Robbie. What was your gut reaction of UCLA? And 2, is UCLA a top 25 team? UCLA beating LSU.
I think they are a top 25 team, but then again, like I've said before many times, after the top 4 or 5, I don't really care how you kind of throw the other teams into the mix. Again, being said, UCLA was strong. And, Zach Charbonnet, from Southern California, as a freshman at Michigan, he dominated. Last year, I don't know why he never got the ball. Maybe just Harbaugh transfers to UCLA. He had 11 for 117 and a touchdown. He's averaging, I think, over 13 yards a carry thus far this year against Hawaii and LSU. DTR, Dorian Thompson-Robinson's a senior. Their tight end, Greg Dulcich, that guy's money. He had 3 catches for 85 yards. They did what they wanted to offensively. The most surprising thing about this game was that LSU couldn't run the ball. I was very surprised by that. And it wasn't just because they were behind. Last time UCLA stopped the run, I think it was like 1974. I wasn't even born. Randall, you'd have to talk about it, but I was very surprised by that.
So
again,
before you go
LSU,
further,
Penn State. Sorry.
1974, Tennessee, UCLA, 26 all time. Go ahead now.
All right. I remember Peyton Manning's first game after Todd Helton got hurt in 93 or 94 at the Rose Bowl.
That would have been 94,
it?
and I sweated my ass off. It was the hottest day I've ever experienced in Southern Cal. They came out.
It was hot.
And they took the ice out of the ice coolers and dumped it in the middle of the walkway because so many people were passing out just to get people cooled down. It's the hottest day I ever remember in Southern Cal. So,
it was hot.
Of course, I've never
I remember
been to Palm Springs, so you know.
That's dry heat, desert hot. That day was hot. I remember, like, I bailed early. The tickets were free, but went up to Colorado Boulevard. But yeah, that was hot. Again, though, LSU suddenly 16th in the country. Penn State suddenly 19th in the country. I'm kind of Herm-esque, and they are who we thought they were, or whatever he had said. You know, why are these teams suddenly, ranked in the top 20? And again, it kind of speaks to my point about the top 25. That, I mean, pretty much anybody can be ranked, aside from those teams that we know are very strong. I mean, doesn't Tennessee, until third week in September, aren't they generally ranked? And then reality sets in. I feel like that's the case for so many teams. But UCLA, that being said, they can run the ball and they stop the run. And they were LSU was certainly bigger than them. So yeah, I was impressed, and I think they're going to kick our later.
Robbie, what did you think of the game? What was your gut reaction?
So, three major takeaways. One, that is uniform porn right there. Those teams look fantastic.
That is my second favorite, maybe my first and second favorite uniforms.
Yes,
they are great.
Well said.
The second thing is these are two coaches heading in different directions. I think Coach O is going to get the Gene Chizik treatment. Hey, you won us a championship, but man, that was a one-year wonder, and it's not going well. And I think Chip Kelly has got UCLA heading in the right direction. They had a lot of LSU fans in the stands this time, so got a little gate revenue, which helps. And then the third thing is, my God, how can an LSU team be so bad on defense? These stats, UCLA completed 9 passes, for 260 yards and 3 touchdowns. Every third completion was a touchdown. They gave up to the leading rusher 117 yards on 11 carries. If you are giving up 26 yards per completion and 110 plus yards per rush, with all those athletes, it boggles the mind.
The tight end averaged 40 yards per catch. I don't know if you said that. I lost reception for a sec, but 40 yards per catch from a tight end not named Kelsey. What is that, dude? Yeah, that's insane. Hey, somebody lost someone there.
It was just mind blowing. They could be so bad on that side of the ball.
So let me give y'all some numbers here. In 2020, LSU was number 3 in recruiting. 2019, number 4. 2018, number 15. In 2017, they were, if I remember correct, the 17 team was 7th. So they've been 3, 4, 15, and 7. Now, I understand why Tennessee struggles right now. They have 62 scholarship players. This is a program that is recruited at a top average 5 level that just does not get it at this point. It reminds me, Robbie, and to go back to I believe it was the 2003 team from Tennessee that started the year number 3 with all that talent that finished 5-6. I think LSU could be headed to a sub 500 record again.
Yeah, and if that happens, I don't see how you look at Saban's obviously he left on his own. Saban got there 1-1. Miles took over 1-1, then he got fired. Orgeron took over, got one. I think he's going for that same fate as Les Miles, and they just don't put up with. I mean, and Miles had a lot more success after his championship,
yes,
than Coach O is having right now. I know they love him. He loves it there. He would never leave if he could keep it going, but it doesn't look promising right now.
Did Raj, as Chip Kelly went from a red hot scorching seat to maybe just a regular red hot seat?
It helps. There's no doubt about it. I think he was 12-21 or something like that coming in. It seems like he's adjusted. He's found Charbonnet and he's running the ball, because I think he came in and wanted to be, that guy again, which he obviously wasn't after his stint in the NFL. And Oregon was just loaded with offensive talent. Being said, he does have a history with Coach O. And, I think Coach O, Robbie, nailed it. It's like Chiswick. And if he didn't sound like he's from LSU, and sorry, no offense to anybody in the Bayou, my attempt. But, if he wasn't so perfectly gumbo, I think he would have been gone already. And, this is it for him, I think. And Chip Kelly I agree, he was probably on his way out, if not for this, this type of win. They need to keep it up, being said. He doesn't have the same talent, the same monsters. LSU's bigger, stronger, faster. They just got out-coached. I mean, again, if a tight end goes for 40 yards per catch, then probably your defense needs some tweaking.
And Raj, you probably know this better than I do, or not probably, you do know this better than me. UCLA is a publicly funded school in California. They do not like to spend a lot of money on paying coaches not to coach. And so I would assume that buys him a little more, this game, and that fact probably buys him security.
Absolutely. Who's left, name-wise, that makes people happy, right?
I want to go through this schedule real fast, and I want you both to listen to all the games and give me a prediction for UCLA. They are off this week. Next game, September the 18th, Fresno State at UCLA.
Win.
At Stanford.
Win.
I agree, win.
Versus Arizona State.
I think that's the first slip up.
I agree. Chip Kelly I think it's at home, isn't it?
Yeah, it's at UCLA.
Yeah, it is at home.
But Chip Kelly, that's one thing he's demonstrated, and Clay Helton's the same thing. No consistency whatsoever. They tend to slip up. I agree with Rob that Arizona State's a pretty decently coached team. I think that is a slip up.
At Arizona.
I like UCLA.
At Washington.
Another potential slip up. Washington lost to Montana this week, but Husky Stadium is not a fun place to play. That's the thing about UCLA. Can they win on the road?
So I think that's agreed. That's the second one. Here's the part of the schedule I think that gets them. At Oregon.
Loss.
To me, that's another loss.
It's home against Oregon.
Home against Oregon, on the road at Utah.
I think they can beat Oregon, but at Utah is going to be tough.
Yeah, that's a tough place to play. Especially that time of the year for the kids living in Southern California. It is cold, possibly wet.
Halloween night, it's going to stink.
Colorado at home should be a win.
Yeah.
USC. I would go loss.
I know a lot of Trojan fans and alumni that would want USC to lose because they pray that would be the end of the Helton era. But, that's a risk that I'm not willing to take.
Robbie, you have some reserve.
This is one of those. Yes, both of these coaches flip a coin on who's going to blow this game. I mean, it's probably whoever's ranked higher is going to lose.
Okay,
Well
I can
said.
buy that.
Well
And then Cal at UCLA. If I've judged everything right, at worst they're 8-4.
And I think they're better than that. I'd give them 9-3.
Okay.
I think I can go. Yeah, one of those two. I think is their outcome, which I think is a good
That's
year.
Great for them, yeah.
So the next two games is LSU against Mcneese State in Central Michigan. They should win those games. Then at Mississippi State, they should win that one. Then they play Auburn at home. Do they beat Auburn at home?
Auburn. I didn't see the game, but they looked. The scoreboard looked nice.
I mean, if they can't stop Zach Charbonnet, how are they going to stop homeboy the tank, dude? That guy's going to run wild. But then again, the only thing LSU really has going for them is Tiger Stadium at night.
At Kentucky, I think it's 100% a loss.
Yeah, I agree. I think Kentucky wins that.
Florida at LSU. I like Florida's side of that.
Yep.
At Ole Miss.
Loss.
As of right now, that's an L.
At Alabama.
Just skip that one.
It's probably the nail in the coffin.
Arkansas should win.
Should win.
Louisiana Monroe should win.
Win.
Texas A&M at Tiger Stadium.
It's a loss.
Dude, that's one team that I'm not sold on. I'm not sold on the quarterback, Haynes King. I know they have a ton of talent. I'm not saying LSU's better than them, but that's always a weird game. Wasn't that like the 70-68 game and like 28 OTs? Was that those two teams a few years ago?
Yeah.
That's a weird game, man. Coin. I don't think A&M's that great.
At best, you have them 6-6. At worst, 5-7.
That
gets him fired. That
Auburn game at home, if they lose that,
it could go bad.
1, 2, 3, 4. 4 games in a row, which we all think they're going to lose, ending with an at Alabama potential just beat down.
Yeah, that could be it.
Yeah.
All right.
That Bigsby. Whoa, that guy's a monster.
So let's move on just a little bit. I think we beat that horse to death, but I don't think Coach O makes it through the season. That's my prediction. To me, the most impressive game I watched, team-wise, I watched about a quarter and a half of it. Iowa thumped Indiana. An Indiana team we feel that's probably got one of the better coaches, very well prepared, 34-6, and it could have been 54-6 if they'd have wanted it to be. Is Iowa real in the Big Ten?
I think by default, because of how bad I think the Big Ten is. They had the best showing, I thought, of anyone not named Ohio State. Maybe Indiana was. Maybe they're not as good as we thought they were. But that team has some hype and well coached. But Kirk Ferentz is also one of those known to blow some games that he shouldn't lose.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think they're quarterback short. Petrus is not that awesome. They're all defense. They're old school, 3 yards in a cloud of dust. That being said, I didn't think they would shut down the Indiana offense. P. Nix and 5-star Stephen Carr, the USC transfer. Freifogel. I did not think they would shut them down. Like, they were dominant. And I thought they were easily the best Big Ten team last weekend. Now, I don't know if they play Ohio State. I was trying to figure that out. Robbie just disappeared on my screen. He probably knows. But I don't think they play each other, correct? Yeah, they don't play Ohio State. So, yeah, I mean, that's a defense and run the ball in the Big Ten. You don't play Ohio State. I mean, that's a recipe to do very well in the Big Ten.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Trying to find the week 1 rankings again. The preseason rankings. Number 20. Well, Coastal Carolina, I don't even know what they did. Ole Miss won.
Washington was around there. They lost to Montana.
They lost to Montana. You're right.
This is where you come into the crummy Pac-12 teams. Utah, they beat Southern Utah or one of the two. ASU, one of them beat Southern Utah. So that's 3 out of 5 of the crummy Pac-12 teams. And actually, those teams are good for the Pac-12. But, yeah, that's about it. I think we're missing
Texas, Louisiana. 21 versus 23. That game was what we thought it would be.
Yeah. I don't know what to say about Louisiana. I know Texas has talent. I know Sark can coach when Saban's the boss and he has 80 million stars on his team. But I don't know. I didn't watch it.
Montana, that game. Granted, that is a Division II superpower, Division I AA superpower. But a top 20, this is, to me, Montana beating Washington is just a little bit under Happy State beating Michigan a few years ago. Michigan was in the top 5, but this is a 1 AA team, but we're beating a ranked team. And Washington didn't have 7 points. Coach Lake, after the game, said it was absolutely a horrible effort. Is there, and we kind of capped this, who is going to win the Pac-12? Let's just put it there, Raj. You're our Pac-12 guy. We said before the season we were all over the place. You've seen 1 week. Do you have an opinion now? And Robbie, you're next. You get a piece of this bad football too.
One thing about Washington, Dylan Morris was supposed to be the next coming, and Lake is the next coming of coach and quarterback. I think the Heward kid's going to be there in no time. But, there's no excuses. The kid was terrible. Morris had 3 picks, just a horrible QBR. What I'm getting at is that I thought the North would be the winner in the Pac-12, but the reason why I'm not necessarily going to say the South will be is that I think Washington and Oregon will have different quarterbacks in a few weeks. And we all know that come November, I think they're both going to be drastically different teams. That being said, I don't think, USC, Arizona State, Utah, UCLA, all were far better than anybody in the North. Cal lost to Nevada, that usually the North wins all the championships, but this year, I don't think that's going to happen.
All right. We got a few minutes till our guest comes on. I got a couple of exercises that I'd like to go through with. Robbie, what's your opinion on the Pac-12? I said I was coming to you and then jumped away from you. What's your opinion?
Because the Pac-12 is the Pac-12, I think somehow Washington's going to find a way to rebound it and win it. And then there's going to have this loss to Montana that's going to keep them out of the playoff.
That would be Pac-12 luck.
That would be Pac-12 to a T.
Could they get into the 1 AA playoff, the FCS playoff? It's got to be a good game. A rematch.
My big winners of the weekend: Georgia, USC, UCLA, Alabama, Virginia Tech. Robbie, who impressed you this weekend?
A team that I expected to really struggle out the gate with a new coach, a ton of pressure, Texas. Texas impressed me by beating a really good Louisiana Lafayette team. I think it's Louisiana Lafayette.
It is. You were mixing your drink when we got to it, so we kind of.
Yeah. So
we didn't talk about it, but because frankly, I didn't see it. So you've got a breakdown that would help us out.
That was 2 top 25 teams, and Texas won Sark with a good debut at a place where there's been some lackluster debuts lately. So I think coming in there, winning that game is a really good showing. They impressed me. We've talked about Alabama, just good God. And then I flew out on Thursday night. I landed and watched the game on the way to the second half of the Vols game on the way to Palm Springs. They were already ahead and it was comfortable, but I liked what I saw. It's 1 week. It's against Bowling Green. It's not going to make national one bit of a difference, but as far as the region we live in, I thought Heupel had a good debut.
I was going to get to Heupel in just a second. Too. Good point. No, you're right on the money. Raj, who was your winners on the weekend?
Bryce Young, even though it's Bama, I think he displayed.
Good God, yes.
Yeah, like more of a natural ability than Tua, than a lot of people. Doesn't have the hype. I thought he was amazing. And then UCLA running game and UCLA rush defense, that was surprising. But again, we don't know how great Washington is, LSU is, in my opinion. And Iowa. I mean, Iowa just was like a brick wall. And I knew they were good defensively, but by the way, isn't that the best tradition in football of late? The wave, pregame wave to the Children's Hospital before. I mean, that's amazing. So, yeah, I mean, they thumped Indiana, who's, one spot ahead of them in the preseason, and that's a good offensive team. It was sad. So those are the three.
Real quick, we don't know that. I mean, and this is going to be something that I'm fascinated about. Anyone make more money this weekend than Bryce Young? This NIL, they're about to. Sponsorships are about to go through the roof, and it's going to be interesting to see how each week more and more money's going to get paid.
Literally, Robbie, when we were watching the game, I went, Robbie's going to have a field day with NILs and Bryce Young on 3 R's this week.
Well, the irony being is that Bryce Young was a USC commit who went to Alabama. And USC has been harping about we're LA, we're Hollywood, we're this, we're that. Well, as Rob knows, California sucks. And they're not going to let these kids, there are far too many naysayers. There are far too many restrictions. He goes to Bama, and he's about to be, the college football George Clooney. Yeah, he made bank this weekend, and it doesn't bode well for USC, UCLA, but unlike the state of Alabama, the state of California could give a shit, which sucks for people like me.
So my big losers, and I'll get to Tennessee after the big losers because I didn't want to talk Tennessee. We are based out of Chattanooga. North Carolina, big loser. LSU, Miami, Washington, and the MAC conference, a once proud conference, was everybody's beatdown boy this week, including Bowling Green, Kent State, Akron. I wrote an article for the Marion Messenger. Geoff, we've already talked Georgia Clemson. Sorry you're a little late on that one. I wrote an article for the Marion Messenger this week. Yes, I wrote it and spelled most of the words right. And I described this weekend as week 1 is the MAC gets paid and gets 40 hung on them. Was horrible. How about you, Robbie? Who was your losers of the week?
The big boys, really. The Washington, horrible start. A place where I spent a year in school, Indiana, like, man, your most anticipated season that definitely in my lifetime. Maybe one of when Randall L was there, but this was up there. And
we're going to have to get a breakdown of all the schools Raj and I attended at one point. That's going.
I was thinking where he's like, I've spent a year there. I'm like, where did you not spend a year? Let's start with there.
I literally think we've got half of the United States covered. Go ahead, Robbie.
UNC, they laid an egg and can't get over it. I think the biggest loser of the weekend was Clemson, a team that they cannot make a mistake. They can't have a COVID crisis, anything like that. I mean, they've got to be on pins and needles, hope their conference gets better. I
see no way an ACC team makes the playoffs. I really, after 1 week, I think the ACC's out. Raj, losers for you?
California quarterback's not named Bryce. Iowa State, even though they won. Sam Howell, and I'll throw Slovis in there too. That guy has not looked impressive. The USC offensive line is retooling, but that guy held onto the ball for far too long. And you got to go with Coach O, if you ask me. That guy is definitely on his way out the door.
Gio's first team was LSU, and I think that's very true. Now, locally, we are based out of Chattanooga, Tennessee. One thing, the Mocs came into the year ranked number 1 in the Southern Conference and gets beat by not a very good Austin Peay team. And I really think it took some sales out of the local media and the hype surrounding the Mocs. We all live in Chattanooga. You've seen all the billboards around town. Chattanooga in the top 25, number 1 in the Southern Conference. Then to get beat handily by Austin Peay, kind of a shocker. Does that change your perception of the UTC team, Robbie?
I mean, that's a bad egg
beat.
to lay. Opening game with some buzz. And for people, Randall, you can probably explain it better, but the relationship that Chattanooga has with Finley Stadium, which is not owned by the university, and to have all the excitement go out on week 1 is not a good look.
Yeah, that's a private business down there, and you got to think if that football team. So for the folks that don't see us, that don't live in the area, UTC has a beautiful 20,000 seat stadium. Very nice 1AA stadium. It could be nicer.
It used to host the
national championship game.
Yep, and then it hosts the high school championship game. Tournament now. Yes.
Starting this year. Nice field, turf field, a very expensive facility. It struggles to put 5,000 on a football Saturday in it. Someone at a UTC alum, and I graduated from one of my 5 schools is UTC. My degree actually comes from the University of Tennessee at Chattanooga. They said at a alumni group meeting one time, we have the same 4,000 people here and no new faces. This was a chance for them to get new faces into the crowd and to lay an egg. Raj, I know you're an outsider. Have you ever been to a UTC game?
I have, and actually a couple of my buddies from out west came out when Finley hosted the national championship game, and they had a blast. Granted, that time I think it may have been Appy State and maybe even Montana. It was freezing that day.
Good God, the Montana fans were fun.
Oh, yeah, we had a great time. It reminds me of USC basketball, and as someone that supports USC basketball, I feel powerless and frustrated in that if they don't win that first game or that big game, whatnot, I know that half the fan base will be like, see, I told you so, and they're not going to show up. And I feel the same way for the Mocs. So when that place has a crowd, it's fun, It is. You get beers in there, it's a beautiful stadium. Downtown's right there. Ironic that in the South, Chattanooga's become more of a soccer town than anything else, aside from UT. But yeah, I find myself pulling for them because if they don't win, I feel bad, if that makes sense. Like, I feel like they're going to be behind the 8 ball and they can't catch up. Like I said, just like other football dominant schools. I mean, they're not a football dominant school, but well, regardless, it's just unfortunate because they really, really could do well for the beautiful campus and stadium.
And shout out to Miss Lily and from Montana when they were down to win their national championship. Still fond memories of you, Miss Lily. If you happen to find 3R, hey Randall.
They played in Knoxville one year, and they came out in droves, and they sold out their ticket allotment.
Oh, yeah.
They had a great time in Knoxville. I remember them. They partied.
I got a buddy, by the way. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Really did make friends, and I still talk to her on Facebook. She'll probably see the show. Somehow I met a girl from Bozeman. She came back to the UT game, and we talked to each other. We went to dinner that night after all those years. They literally
leave her alone.
Love Montana football the way we love Tennessee football or USC football.
Randall, you could have shortened that sentence to somehow I met a girl.
Somehow I met a girl from Bozeman.
Hey, real quick, I had not to name drop too much, but a kid I grew up with, Mark Albert, was like the best athlete ever. Big stocky kid, but he was like short. He was like 5'7". And just a guy that made like 38 tackles, like the dude in what game was that? Where it was the Montana game, where like the linebacker had 30 tackles. That was him, and he went to Montana to play football. Went to Los Alamitos, Division I Power. I was at Huntington Beach. Should have gone to Los Al. They helped shut down Tony Gonzalez. He goes to Montana. I don't think he ever had 30 tackles, but part of me thought it was perfect. Like just these gritty, bearded before it was cool. No offense, Randall. Just dudes that you just don't want to get hit by. And that was Montana. And if any team in the Pac-12 wouldn't kind of fit that bill, I hope it would be Washington. But man, they didn't want to get hit by Montana. And it was pretty sad.
So the biggest winner of the weekend at Geoff was Kendall Milton, and I'm not even sure who that is.
Is that Joe Milton's twin brother?
I don't know.
Also, no, he means what's his name at the Florida State quarterback, Mackenzie Milton, maybe?
Might be. Charlotte with Chattanooga native Will Healy gets a win over a Division I team. So shout out to Will Healy, but we've got a guest, Troy Bryant, coming on at quarterback at Florida State. Yeah, okay. We've got a guest coming on at 9:15, and 10:15. I want to quickly talk about UT. Did you see the game, Raj and Robbie?
I did. Allow me to go first because I'm not nearly as thorough as both of you. I was always under the impression that, I know they got great transfers. They lost a lot. But if Joe Milton, who I saw at Michigan, couldn't hack it in the Big Ten, how the heck is he going to hack it in the SEC? And he was exactly what I thought he would be. I mean, he's like a 5'4" run-first quarterback. And if he's the quarterback all year, which I don't think he will be, but, there's no way he could be in the SEC. They'll never win a game.
Let me throw a couple of facts out, and then we'll go a little deeper with Robbie. Tennessee has 62 scholarship players right now. UTC dressed 70 scholarship players this weekend. They are 23 below or 22 below what they should have. I agree with Milton. A lot of people were critical of him. But here's the first question I have. Wasn't the quarterback play better with Milton than it was with Garantano? By the way, he played horrible in Washington State's loss. So let's talk from there. Milton versus 2020 quarterback, better or worse?
Oh, I mean, I would venture to say we could have played better than Garantano. I mean, there was no threat to him at all. And I don't know if some of that was by design with Pruitt being super conservative. with his play calling and his game philosophy. But like you said, he didn't look great at Washington State. I mean, I like the kid. He stuck it out at Tennessee as long as he possibly could. I think Milton just gives a dynamic. I don't know if he makes it through the whole season, whether it's play or injury.
He don't live through the season if he stays that right up.
Yeah. So I didn't. I like I said, I was in the air and then traveling today for work again. So I haven't seen the entire game. So I haven't seen the first half. Kind of the first 15 scripted plays. How he looked then. Whenever I landed and finally got it on my phone, it was mostly just, hey, we're better than this team, and we can just run the ball. So I don't know exactly how the quarterback play. I want to go back and rewatch the game and kind of break it down. But I thought it was going to be a closer game than it was. I was worried coming in.
Worried about Bowling Green, but that's what I was going to say. Real quick, my producer / bartender's calling me. But the game was never in doubt. They moved the football. The defense looked good. Usually they struggle with UConn or whoever the heck they're playing early. I mean, you guys have this – you people. I'm Brown, I can say that. The Tennessee fans have this, perception that they're going to have Peyton or Danny Werfel or somebody back there. No, he's not going to be that. And they're going to get better. They didn't show a lot. The game was never in doubt. I mean, no offense, guys, but who do you think you are, dude? Are you Alabama or yeah, I'm coming. My producer needs me for 1 second. I'll be right back. And Randall, I'll take your opinion off.
Well, one, as a UT fan, we worry about every game because we have lived through the. Remember, we remember
Alabama more than Tennessee, even though we suck now. All right.
Yeah, remember we lost to Georgia State at home, not too many years removed from now. So yes, I did not take Bowling Green for granted.
Did you big week this week for the Vols, Robbie? I'm still of the ilk, and it's because the SEC East is so bad. I still think if we win this weekend, we end up being bowl eligible. Now, whether we take the ball or not, we might take it as a penalty. But I still think if you get by Pitt this weekend, Vandy and South Carolina are wins for sure. And then you just hope to upset somebody. But it's got to be either Pitt or Pitt. Pitt would be about it.
My outlook after 1 week, and hate to be flip-flopping, I do think we get to 6 wins now. I think this game this weekend is really, really big for the fan base and the excitement.
Yeah.
It seems silly to be like, oh, it's one game with one head coach. But we've been with new coaches for the last 3, it's just a 3-year, 4-year cycle. And so it is important. And while Pitt's not a juggernaut, it is a big name. They're honoring Johnny Majors, who coached at Tennessee, if people don't know, and who coached at Pitt and Tennessee. And so it's a big weekend. I wish I could go. I cannot. But
I am going. I'm
you are.
My daughter at home, but I am going. I have drawn the line at Pitt. This is my first venture to a football game in 2 years.
But yeah, so I mean, I think Tennessee's a 3.5 underdog at home, which means that, as people know, that means that Vegas thinks they're almost a touchdown worse than Pittsburgh. I liked our pace of play, our being Tennessee. I'm not gonna. I guess this is our only time to pick the game. I will start to think we're on every day. I think Tennessee does win this weekend.
They're an underdog to Pitt at home. When was the last time an SEC team early was underdog to? What are they in the ACC? I don't even know. Where's Pitt at?
They're predicted to go to a bowl game. It's more.
Yeah, they're in the ACC.
Oh, congratulations!
I don't know.
Teams go to bowl
I do not know which conference of the ACC they're in, but they are in the ACC.
Hey, when's the last time Tennessee won a game outside the SEC among a Power 5 school? I can't remember it. I guess Indiana in the bowl game.
Yeah, bowl game, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good game.
All right, last question, then we're going to bring our guest on. Would you rather have, and Rod, you're going to have to pull off your Pac-10 rose-colored glasses now. Tomorrow, you go back and rewrite history. You're Tennessee. Do you want Scott Frost or Josh Heupel?
Is there a C option or D?
You got to pick. We're going to get one of the Central Florida coaches. We hired Danny White. We tried to get Scott Frost back when we hired Pruitt. Had no luck because he took the Nebraska job. He was the leading candidate for the Tennessee job until he took the Nebraska job.
If that guy can't even get players,
as default. Everyone has criticized Heupel and said it was a Scott Frost organized team. Scott Frost is about to get fired at Nebraska after losing to Illinois.
Yeah, Frost going to Nebraska is not quite Peyton going to Tennessee, but that's what they were begging for and clamoring for years. I think people are. Well, Nebraska's Nebraska. It's in Omaha, the middle of the country, or near Omaha. It's going to be. It's increasingly difficult this day and age to win in a place like that. Being said, I don't think Tennessee really won either. Personally.
Yeah, I mean,
we probably wanted Hugh Freeze, but you can't hire him with all the baggage today.
Yeah. Do you take Scott Frost over Josh Heupel? I mean, right now, I don't think so. But I'm kind of with Rod. I think Nebraska's an impossible job right now. I mean, but I guess if you can win at Iowa State, you can win at Nebraska. I've never been to Ames. I've never been to Lincoln. I imagine they're somewhat similar as far as I wouldn't want to spend 4 years there, but I also went to Bloomington for a year and then realized I didn't want to spend 4 years there. and
I've been to Norman. It's a crap hole, and they seem to do it.
Yeah.
Iowa State's not going to win next year either when everybody graduates. It's like an every 4-year program.
Yeah.
All right, Raj, tell us a little bit about Robbie. Did you ever make a pick?
I mean, because of what Frost is accused of doing, I guess I will go Heupel.
Can you blame Frost though?
No. I mean, those are high-powered pressure jobs. But with that kind of pay comes you got to at least don't be reckless following the rules.
Yeah.
Or not following the rules.
See you, Jeremy Pruitt.
Yes.
Rod, you want to tell us a little bit about our guest that's coming on?
Yeah, our guest is Troy Bryant. I call him Roy for multiple reasons. Not only because I'm lazy, but Troy is a borderline savant when it comes to research and loving fantasy football, especially PPR. And I'll reach out to him. I don't reach out to very many people because I'm that arrogant, but I'll reach out to him when there are, not the obvious questions, but, something way down the line. And I think
he gave me his phone number, so I'm keeping it.
Yeah, man. He does He does ample research. Let's put it that way. And he's a UT law school grad. So, but even though he's a Georgia fan in football, but just research is his nerdy forte, if you will, and he knows his stuff.
All right,
Randall has more lawyers on this show than a damn conference at Miller Martin.
Yeah. All right. Well, here he comes, and he'll be straight on the air.
Roy, are you there?
Hold on, it's ringing.
Oh.
Sometimes I feel like this ought to be called the Law School Express. There you go. He's on, Raj.
Roy, are you there?
I am. Can you hear me?
We can. You are live to 11 people. Actually, 41,000 people last month.
Nice.
So I gave you a pretty sweet introduction.
He did.
Yes, I embellished.
I was a Georgia fan, and then everybody quit liking you at that point. But go ahead.
But I did say you're a UT log rat, but yeah, naturally I embellished. But what I did say was that, I'm not going to ask you the conventional questions that I can find online. You love deep research. You're a big geek that way. And with all due respect. But that's where I wanted to start with what I call 3 Qs with Roy. And these are extended questions, sort of like Rodney Dangerfield and Back to School, if anybody remembers that oral examination at the end, which is a great movie.
47.
Heck yeah. So my first question would be, and again, we all know who the top 10 players are at quarterback. We know who the top 30 are, really. In some of our deeper leagues, in our league, that's a 12-team league and 17 rounds. I mean, you're going bottom of the barrel. Again, I think somebody drafted Michael Vick this year. But who would you say is a practical – it was Robbie. Who is a practical –
Don't be silly.
deep sleeper, would you say, at quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end? One name that's a deep sleeper, not just sleeper that you see like Matthew Berry. Deep sleeper for each, and why?
And really hit on the deep sleeper at running back as someone who didn't draft any running backs.
Yeah. Hey, Troy, we have one member of this cast, we will not mention his name, that failed to draft a running back for the first 8 rounds.
He knows who he knows who he is, regardless.
He might confuse 2 or 3 when you get to the running back. So go ahead, floor is yours.
Okay, I can deliver on that. So at quarterback, I think these 2 guys kind of fall into the same camp. They're both rookies and they're both super talented. I think Justin Fields and Trey Lance, honestly, to the point that if you're not leaving your draft with at least one of them, I think you maybe misplayed a little bit. And that we look back at Mahomes' second season, he was being drafted, pretty late. Lamar Jackson's rookie season, drafted late. I think these 2 guys are going to be really good. They're not going to start right away, but I think they have potential to potentially win leagues with their running ability, with their throwing ability. San Francisco's a more friendly offense for Trey Lance, and he maybe has a little harder time beating out Garoppolo. But everything I've heard about Lance is he's just killing it in camp. And even if you're set at quarterback, if you get someone early, just the trade chip of how they can help round your roster out later season, I think Fields and Lance are just really, really valuable this year. Running back, one, I only added this one in because it's surprising to me that ESPN dropped, after Sony Michel was traded for, dropped Darrell Henderson to like the 86th overall player, and they have Sony Michel right behind him at 87.
I didn't get
Georgia
that.
Player, putting my, homerism aside for Sony Michel, he's been injured every year he's been in the league. He adds nothing in the passing game. And Darrell Henderson, outside of Cam Akers kind of, just went on a tear at the end of last season, Henderson was kind of outplaying him. So the fact
Very
that
effective.
ESPN just kind of threw their hands up and was like, I don't know, rank them together. They're back to back. I think it's just absurd. So Darrell Henderson, I think easily could be a top 24 running back this season, no problem. Another one would be Tyson Williams, the Ravens backup running back. So with Dobbins going down, that elevated Gus Edwards, and then they had Williams kind of as the backup, and they had Justice Hill, player they drafted a couple of years ago. Well, he went down, I think, yesterday with an Achilles tear. So there are 2 running backs in that system right now. They just signed Le'Veon Bell, but I think they just signed him strictly to the practice squad. So I really think Tyson Williams, who is going either really late or undrafted entirely, could kind of take over that
Side note
role from last season.
Well, side note, shout out to our boy Clay, who drafted Dobbins and then found out about the Achilles after drafting him in like the 4th or 5th round. So
we literally was drafting when he tore his when it happened.
He's the lucky winner. But wide receiver and tight end,
Before he goes on, do you not feel like if somebody really screwed up their draft at quarterback and forgot to actually draft a backup quarterback that's going to play, and Fields and Lance are gone, what do you think of the other quarterbacks in Lawrence and Mac Jones?
I think with Mac Jones, with Cam Newton getting released, I think that's a good sign. I hate to say it, but I trust Belichick knows what he's doing. And I don't think Jones would be bad at all. I think he'd be kind of a similar stash that I wouldn't draft him as my number one or anything. But, you know, you never know. It seems like quarterbacks are more ready than ever coming into the league. We saw Justin Herbert just set it on fire as a rookie last year. And, you know, who knows? People were saying he was probably the rawest of the group last year, and he seemed most pro-ready. Lawrence, I think, is a really good pick if you wait late. Ideally, I wouldn't want to start him, but I'm not going to lose sleep if he's my QB1, honestly. I think he has pretty decent running ability, and, I mean, we saw what he did at Clemson. I don't think Lawrence would be bad at all to have as your QB1.
Okay, he better have decent running ability because he's going to be running for his life, right? Wide receiver, tight end. And I want deep, Roy. I know you know your top 38 dudes, but I want deep, like off the charts. People don't know about him. Actually, I don't, because these two nerds are going to be listening to everything you say. He's my wife's cousin, you son of a goat.
Everything down.
He is Robbie.
If he says something that I like, I'm making the move as we speak.
All right, Roy. I do want deep, not something that everybody knows. We don't need validation. You obviously know your stuff. But somebody like, wow, Roy was right about that guy. Wide receiver, tight end.
So for wide receiver, he is being drafted, but I think he's being drafted too late, is Russell Gage for the Falcons. In that he's pretty much their set wide receiver too, unless Pitts does some really incredible and impressive stuff, being lined out outside of the tight end position and out wide. I think Gage had over 700 yards, added some touchdowns, but what was more important was his catches. He was getting a lot of targets in the full PPR. He's that kind of player you can draft, you know, in round 11, round 12, and then kind of pencil him in for, 60 yards, 5, 6 catches every single week. And that's not going to win you your league, but sometimes, just that stability and that reliable floor is what you need in players. But kind of a similar mold is Amon-Ra St. Brown for the Lions.
Son of a bitch.
The Lions have absolutely nobody to catch the ball. I mean, Raj could probably start as wide receiver for them this season if they really needed it.
Let's not go too far.
I think I'm in too good of shape.
Aside from
Amon-Ra.
So. That's true.
It's not
back surgery, so he may have lost his stuff.
It's not good. It's not good.
He's your, I think, kind of typical short yardage slot guy, 5'11". And I think the big thing there is just volume. There aren't other guys who can catch the ball. But more importantly, with their quarterback now being Jared Goff, who is, I think, the epitome quarterback of just targeting the slot receiver 6 yards downfield, I think he's just going to go crazy. He's going to have a lot of volume. He could honestly be a number one wide receiver for that team. And I think I got him last week in our draft, like round 14 or something. So he is available.
The irony, Roy, is that I love the guy. His whole family's NFL players. His dad's a monster. Like, has his own protein company. Before NILs, he wore a T-shirt of his dad's, like, protein company. And there were a lot of logistics involved. And I can't remember how come he didn't get in trouble, but he didn't. But, yeah, I mean, in Detroit, what do you have? Tyrell Williams. What's the other dude's name?
Cephas, like Quintez Cephas or something.
Yeah, Quintez Cephas or Step, whatever. I can't remember. And no disrespect to any of them, but Tyrell Williams is made out of glass. Hawkinson is the only other guy, and Goff loves, like you said, throwing the easy throw, the easy route. And no offense to Georgia Nation, but DeAndre Swift is made out of glass as well. Which brings me to tight end. Quickly, tight end.
So tight end, I would go with Adam Troutman for the Saints. I think the tight end position this year is just a disaster. If you don't get one of the big three and Kelsey, Kittle, Waller, in my opinion, you should just wait. And I think Troutman is one of those who was a third-round pick by the Saints, I believe last year and the year before. And this is just one where it's volume. I mean, it's just outside of those three guys, you just want someone who you know is going to get thrown the ball a ton. And with Michael Thomas being out, I think Troutman will get volume. Whether that will end up being touchdowns and a bunch of yards, I have no idea. But I think he's going to catch a lot of balls. And with Jameis Winston, who has a history of targeting, kind of making more anonymous tight ends fantasy relevant, like O.J. Howard and Cameron Braid. Winston, at least to start the season, will be the Saints starting quarterback. So I think that adds to Troutman's potential to at least finish as a serviceable tight end. I think he's injured to start. He may or may not be ready week 1. But all that means is probably nobody drafted him because of that, so he is almost certainly available.
No, I agree. And congruently, we're about to find out how effective Jared Cook is, because that's a very tight end convenient offense. And a lot of that's because Kamara, and a lot of that's because their quarterbacks aren't that awesome. 2 quick questions. Number 1, and I'm going to skip a little bit. Who is the guy that everyone's going to add after week 1 and freak out over, and only to drop that person 3 weeks later?
I think probably a good one is Damian Williams for the Bears, the running back. I think he is a serviceable running back. He seems like a good player that just hasn't gotten an opportunity. But Tariq Cohen is still on the PUP list. And,
Beat it, Randall.
What's up?
I'm trying to get Robbie to write down this name.
I said, beat it, Randall. He's like writing down everything you say.
I am.
That was kind of my other question, though, was that, I don't want to wish someone be hurt, but, someone's going to get hurt. Last year was Barkley, and I had him in one league. This year, I was going to ask, again, that's why I moved questions, because I didn't want to ask who do you think would get hurt. But, the 2 questions are go hand in hand, and you answered it very well. But I'm sorry. Please continue on Williams.
With Cohen still on the PUP list, he should come back in the first 2 or 3 weeks of the season. Nagy has talked about wanting to limit David Montgomery's carries. I think he had like 71% of the backfield share last year, which is just absurd, especially when committees are more and more popular. So I think Williams is going to be that guy kind of by default to help take the weight off of his shoulders. But I feel like the only thing here is that he's a decent player. He's fine. But his only kind of check mark is that he's going to have potential volume. And as soon as Cohen comes back, I think his role kind of disappears and he goes back to number 3 on the depth chart. So I think Williams will get added a bunch and then get dropped. And honestly, I think he won't be added because he's already on teams. But I think Melvin Gordon will be closer to like a week 7 or 8 drop. I think Melvin Gordon's value is as high as it is going to be at this point because Javonte Williams was drafted. He was supposed to be the backup. Then he supposedly killed it in camp. Now he is probably the 1A running back, if not the outright starter. So I think the further and further we get into the season, Melvin Gordon is going to – he'll have his backup role, but I think he is just going to fall off the face of the earth. I think Javonte Williams is the real deal.
And anybody that, say, drafted Javonte Williams in like the 6th round probably looks like a genius right now to most people, correct?
6th round, that's kind of early.
I think Williams was on my short list. I had a buddy more excited about him than me, apparently, and I think kind of reached and got him in round 4. but
yeah,
I think Williams is going to be a good pick. You may have to wait a week or two, but I think he is going to get the massive amount of that backfield.
He is my number one sleeper. So
last statement, last question. Last statement. It kind of says a lot about Philip Lindsay, who is a Colorado guy who we all saw lived with his parents. They let him go. They didn't pay him that much. And now he's in Houston. So I think Williams is definitely going to be the guy that they have the most faith in. Final question. You and I feel the same way about generic, lame-ass team names that are based upon, player names and whatnot. Our buddy Chris was like last year was Cobra Kyler, and this year he's extremely inventive with Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. What is the lamest, most generic player-based fantasy football team name that you have seen this year?
Probably the one I've seen is Smile for the Chimera.
Oh, gosh. I'm done. That's it.
Co-host Robbie Davis has a question.
Yeah, so Tyrell Taylor being named the starter in Houston, they're going to be a horrible team, not a lot of weapons, but playing from behind all year long, almost certain to be drafting a quarterback next year. Is he a guy to get on your roster to hope for those last season by kind of just matchups where he's throwing the ball late, almost like a Kirk Cousins type?
I think he's going to be a little lower than kind of your Kirk Cousins type. I mean, he does have, that running ability potentially, but I honestly think Houston is going to just be in such a rough spot. I agree with you, they're going to play from behind, but I know Tyrell Taylor, going back to his, Buffalo days, was not known for his arm, really. He would take care of the football. He's not going to lose you points and interceptions. He may scramble for 40 yards and a touchdown here and there on good weeks, but generally he's your, 17 completions, 22 attempts, 180 yards kind of guy. And even though they will be behind a lot, I just don't know that you can make Tyrod Taylor something he's not, to a gunslinger. It could prove me wrong. They still have Brandon Cooks there, but I don't know about that one. He might be worth streaming on, bye weeks or whatever, but he's not someone I would probably use a roster spot on.
When's the last time he finished a season?
Well, last year he got, if it wasn't for a needle to the lung, he would have started ahead of Huber in San Diego or in LA. So yeah, it's somehow this guy must be the greatest preseason quarterback in the history of the NFL.
Yeah, I think, honestly, coaches see him and see safety. I don't think – because with the Chargers, Herbert just coming straight out of the draft and everyone saying, oh, he's raw, he's got the skills, he never put it together at Oregon, he'll be good in 2 years. Then you sign Tyrod Taylor in the offseason, and he's the definition of a safe quarterback. He's not going to win you the game, but you're never going to lose the game because of Tyrod Taylor. So I would think coaches are attracted to kind of his just safety and seems like a locker room guy who you can kind of rely on. But yeah, I don't know. I think he's one of the best at intangibles. I guess we'll put it that way.
The other question, do you want to come back on sometime? We got a bunch of shows on this network. We'll have you on. Even if we run Raj off, I think Robbie and I'll take you sometime.
That's what I was afraid of.
I'd love to. This is great. I only have one league, and I did just a stupid amount of research this season, so I'm happy to share that with someone instead of just storing it and not using it for anything.
Well, I'll be fantasy.
I'll be asking you about running backs.
I've considered, but just have not made the plunge yet.
Go, Robbie, go ahead.
I say I'll be bugging you about running backs every single week about who to pick up, who to plug in here, and who to play when. We've
got several shows on the network. Some of them. This is, of course, Raj, Robbie, and I are just general sports, but we've got a couple of shows starting that's more NFL fantasy, daily fantasy, starting in. I'm sure I'm going to keep your number, and we'll get you back on. And Raj is giving me the disapproval look, like, oh my God, I've created a star. I think he's got
my weapon, but Roy would be a great DFS nerd.
Yes, you would, Roy.
And I say that out of admiration and respect that your kind of research and whatnot, you can make some serious coin, and you can make us some serious coin as well. So,
look, I'm the only non-lawyer, so I'm the poorest member of this conversation. But yeah, I really enjoyed having you on. And
thank you for joining us.
Thank you, and I'll text you my contact information offline, and Raj is going to lose his private information source, and I'll text you tomorrow. And again, my name's Randall, Robbie, and Raj, and welcome to 3R Sports.
Well, thank you guys so much for having me. I really appreciate it. And anytime you need fantasy plug or advice, just hit me up. I'm always available.
I think that daily fantasy would be a great avenue for you to make a big impact. So.
Give it a rest, Roy.
All right, Troy. We appreciate your time, buddy, and I will text you later. Thank you.
That sounds good. Thanks, guys.
Thanks. Bye. Hey, Raj, great guest. Great. Thanks for hooking us up with him.
I knew that was a mistake.
Robbie, did you jot any notes down?
I got everything he said.
He was cut out to do this if we didn't realize that.
Oh yeah, that was great. He handled every question and
didn't run.
Hell, I've never heard of any of these guys, so yeah.
All right, so back to the NFL now with the 3R Sports here, and we will have Troy back. We wrapped up college football. In the next 30 minutes, let's get through pro football. And I guess 3R Sports becomes a 2-hour edition during football season. But I want to plug real fast, Buffalo Wild Wings at the end of the month. We've still got some debate with getting some availability. Looks like it may be the 21st, but we will finalize that over the next week. And we're very excited to have this opportunity to come to you live from Buffalo Wild Wings, where I'm personally going to eat probably 30, 35 wings. So I may go 50. If I go 50.
What's the over-under?
I think I'm setting the over-under at 35.
I think for our first show, you should do the Blazing Challenge.
Hell yeah.
No. I've tried that before.
You'll be broadcasting from the bathroom.
Yeah. I was okay. It's when they had the ghost pepper, which is even harder than the blazing. I got 6 down. It was not fun.
I can't handle spicy.
So I had a boy that used to get that for his meal. Whatever. Ranch, blue cheese, neither. Just go to. I'm like, wow.
The medium makes me sweat.
No, I this weekend I had the mango habanero in the hot, so I didn't go to blazing. But so this weekend, not sponsored by Buffalo Wild Wings, but should be, and I guess we're on a test run with them this next week or two. Thursday night football live from Buffalo Wild Wings. The Dallas Cowboy, America's team, plays the defending world champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think the storyline, so we'll go through the game, and I'm going to give you what my storyline is. You either comment on my storyline or give me an alternative storyline. My storyline is Dak Prescott coming back off of a horrible injury when he was on pace to throw for 6,000 yards. Dak was on pace to be a league-winning quarterback last year. Can he play to that level? Robbie?
I think he started off great. I think he had a time to kind of sit back, study more, watch the game, almost like a second rookie year kind of thing. Watch the game more. I think that's a major storyline. Obviously, you've got the Super Bowl champs coming back.
Hanging a banner.
How does Brady look? He recently disclosed that he got COVID after the Super Bowl parade. Is there any effects of that? What do they look like? I mean, how they're an older team, but I mean, still, man, they're dangerous, and so an excellent matchup week one or right off the gate. I mean that's going to draw huge numbers.
At the end of this segment, we're all going to pick this game, or at the end of this. So when we'll go through, discuss it, then we'll each throw a pick, regardless of the line. We're not playing line here. Raj, your thought?
Number one, Super Bowl hangover. What does Tampa have to play for? It's 85 degrees. They're better than everybody else right now. The defense is going to be sitting on their butt. Brady doesn't care. I mean, when's the last time Brady came out week one and was like, oh, I can't wait to prove myself? The other thing, though, about Dak is that if you look at his games early last year, he had some pretty crap defenses, aside from the Rams. And I think week one, he had the Falcons, no offense. The Seahawks,
Raiders,
terrible secondary. Dude, the Raiders are trash. I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't take offense by it. The New York Giants and the Browns were certainly not the Browns. And I'm not even sure. I can't remember which game he got hurt in. But all that being said, I'm taking the Cowboys. I think the road team's going to show up. I think Tampa doesn't care. And I believe in the Super Bowl hangover, championship hangover, really, regardless of the sport.
Robbie Davis, who's your pick?
I get the championship hangover, but this is Tom effing Brady we're talking about. He's not going to let that happen. He's got a group that he showed them how to win last year. They bought into his intensity. They're going to be ready. I like the home team to win again. I do think it's close, though, but give me Brady with the ball towards the end. I'll take him.
Well, Dallas is catching 8. You're right, Rob. I think Brady has a 14-4 record in week one in his 18-year career. Now, most of that was in New England, obviously. But Dallas catching 8, does that change your opinion?
Oh, like who I would bet on?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying Dallas will win, but.
Oh yeah. I thought Randall said regardless of spread.
Regardless of spread, just an outright winner.
I'm sorry.
Oh no, I would definitely lay the point. Like, I think it's gonna be close and Tampa wins late, but yes, I would take the points, but I think Tampa wins.
So I am a DFS nerd, and on Thursday night, FanDuel has $1 million single game slate up. I'm gonna give you part of my lineup. How can you not play Antonio Brown for $8,500? I think he has as much share in that offense as Goodwin and Evans going into the year. I think it's a 3-pronged attack. I think the tight end suffers, and this becomes a 3 wide receiver set. So nowhere near the price of Godwin and Edmonds. I like Antonio Brown at $8,500. Give me the Bucks. Also, I'll go ahead. Give me the Bucks. Plus, if I'm going to gamble, the over.
What's the over?
I think it's right under 50. I don't remember. I think it shoots out.
51 and a half?
How much? 51 and a half?
Yep.
So the early stages of the NFL, I think it's something psychological about watching college football and how much they score versus how quickly the NFL games go compared to college. So I usually get like, these over-unders are so low in NFL, but it's like, man, the timing of the NFL games, if anyone's got anything down to a T, it is how long the NFL games and the 1 o'clock games start, and then the 4 o'clock games start, and they rarely run over.
Yeah, national
Side
TV.
note, what is there, like 14 minutes of actual action in the NFL? Yeah. No wonder why everybody gets wasted and starts fights on the stands.
Second game, and we can be shorter on some of these. The Philadelphia Eagles at the Atlanta Falcons. I think the storyline is Arthur Miller in his first game as a head coach. Raj, we'll start with you on this one.
No offense, dudes. I don't really care. I agree with you. Atlanta's defense is still Atlanta's defense. I feel like Philly can do enough to win this game. I'll take them catching 3 points, even though it's in Atlanta.
Rob?
Storyline for me, does Jalen Hurts live up to the billing of him being a top 10 fantasy quarterback against a horrible defense, he better, or it's all.
Is he top 10 though? Maybe that's why you drafted him. I don't think he's top 10, but
I didn't draft him.
He was a consensus top 9 or 10 in every.
Not in my book, but against the Falcons, sure.
I'm going to go with my DFS tip on this game is I do think it shoots out. I think there's a big number, and there's a bunch of cheap wide receivers. But when's the last time the Falcons stopped a running back? 2017? Last against opposing running backs in 2020. I like the Eagles to win this game.
I do too.
Buffalo host the Pittsburgh Steelers. The storyline to me is 39-year-old Ben Roethlisberger get it done one more time, or another one, the rebuilt Steelers offensive line. Either way, I'll go first with this one. I think the Bills have probably the closest to the Chiefs in the AFC. If somebody's going to push the Chiefs, I think it's the Bills, and I think they handle the Steelers.
I think it's, expectations. How does Josh Allen lead these Bills when you're supposed to win?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
No, I agree entirely. Sorry.
I think Buffalo gets done. I don't know if I trust old Ben Roethlisberger.
6.5. It's almost a touchdown spread, though.
Yeah, I don't like the game to
still
bet.
Take them. I mean,
touchdown. That's a lot of points in the NFL.
I'm scared of this game from a DFS stance and
I'd take the points.
So I agree because I think Buffalo would win, and I've learned in the NFL, like whatever my inclination is, to do the opposite. I 100% as well. Like I got Josh Allen last year in a lot of leagues around round 8 or 9. He Wyoming guy that surprised everyone. This year, no surprises. And a savvy guy, even though I'm not a big fan of, not going to say any nicknames that I have for Penn that aren't flattering. He can do enough to keep him within a touchdown. And the over on that game's 48.5. I'm just going to – I'll take the Steelers because I think the public's going to bet up Buffalo even more.
I'm staying away from both sides. I think Steelers have got enough on defense. I think Buffalo's got enough on defense. The NFL scheduler makers hit gold, I think, in this game. The New York Jets travel to Carolina to play Sam Darnold and the Panthers week 1. I put it up because Geoff has put it up twice. Sam Darnold, a top 15 fantasy quarterback, and I think that's the storyline. What does Sam Darnold do against his old team? Robbie?
Is the kid from New York starting?
Yes.
The rookie is?
Yes.
Zach Wilson.
That's the storyline. The former guy versus the present guy for the Jets. And it will make the Jets' heads explode if Darnold's so much better in Carolina than he was in New York. And all of your Jets fans on ESPN are going to be just ripping the Jets on Monday.
And that's what I live for, so let's hope it happens. Raj?
Jets fans read the Post. Giants fans read the New York Times. The Post can't wait to jump on this. That being said, the Panthers' offensive line is not very good. Do I think Darnold – obviously, I'm biased. I've seen him do amazing things. But the Panthers' line is not one to protect him very well, and the Jets' line obviously almost killed him. Being said, I think people love Darnold because, he's just a winner aside from in New York, but who has been. But his weapons are insane. I think everyone sees that, whether it be Terrace Marshall, the next Justin Jefferson in terms of what people believe. DJ Moore, who fantasy-wise, I've said this before, whenever I need him, he lets me down. Whenever I bench him, he has 250 yards and 8 TDs. And Robbie Anderson, Mr. Reliable. On top of that, you got McCaffrey.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, please.
Oh, I was just going to say, hey, Randall, are we going to get a weekly stipend? I'm just looking at this isn't college football. We've got to watch all these games at the same time. Are we getting a bar allowance, a little per diem to go to the bar and watch all these games?
Yeah, we'll talk about that off hour.
I don't want to admit this, but my biggest mistake, I do have Sunday Ticket. And the only reason why is because when I first got DirecTV, number one, we don't have EPP. Gig City, by the way, Chattanooga, even my Silicon Valley buddies were like, Chattanooga has the fastest internet in the country. I didn't know that was a city. Number two, it's not in my ridiculously lame subdivision, so I have DirecTV. I'm too lazy to cancel it, and then I get my bill, which sucks. But I do have Sunday Ticket. And I have no interest in watching the Raiders right now, so if you guys want to come over.
Yeah, I do. We have Red Zone on YouTube TV. So
I watch Red Zone more than I watch Sunday Ticket, even though I can get
What's your prediction on the game there, Raj?
Which one was this? Panthers Jets?
Yes.
What is the spread? 5? Is it 5?
Yeah. I don't know. I'm just trying to do without the spread.
Yeah. Should have, Raj. Yeah. I'll take the Jets if they're getting 5. The over 44, and I'll take the over.
All right. Minnesota at Cincinnati. Storyline, Joe Burrow's health. I'll go first. Outright, I think Cincinnati beats Minnesota. Robbie?
Oh, Joe Burrow's health, absolutely. Storyline, he's my QB1. He's got to be healthy and stay healthy. I like, and I've got both Cincinnati receivers. It's because that's how I draft. I think Cincinnati
catching 3 at home, Rob. You got a personal mantra. The Bengals are 3-point underdogs at home.
They'll be throwing the ball a lot from behind.
All right, Raj.
This is Rob's mantra. I'm going to stick with it. Even though Minnesota's a better team, I think the Bengals can, 3 points at home. That's 6, in my opinion. And I'll take Cincinnati.
San Francisco plays Detroit. I think the storyline is how much Trey Lance plays. I'll also pick San Francisco to destroy Detroit. And I'm afraid the Lions are in for a long year offensively. Raj, what's your call on this one?
Entirely agree. For once, I will not say anything more.
You got to pick the game.
San Francisco. I'll take 7.5. That's going to be booted up, though. But the over-under 45 is intriguing. I think I'll take the over. I think the Niners defense will not care that much, and I think there'll be some more points scored than we think.
Robbie?
Yeah, I mean, this is probably one of the worst games of the week. Detroit's going to be terrible. I think San Francisco rolls. Interesting, yeah. If Garoppolo starts, I guess he is going to start. How long if he plays the whole game, or if they do go to Trey Lance.
So you said horrible games. Let me give you this to compare to that. The Jacksonville Jaguars travel to the Houston Texans. I think the storyline is how bad the Texans are without Deshaun Watson.
Oh, no, it's Urban Meyer. What does Urban Meyer look like in the NFL?
What does Urban Meyer look like? Storyline too. I'll take the Jags. Robbie?
Yeah, I'll take Jags too. Even though the Jags are horrible, the Texans, good God, they
could go 0-16, and I'm still standing by that.
Yeah.
Jacksonville's a 2.5-point favorite. The Texans have like 18 backs: Lindsey, Ingram, David Johnson. No, it's not 2015, even though Texas or Houston, which is it were. I just, Rob and I have similar foolish beliefs in that I don't believe a home team, especially to a crappy team, should be a nearly 3-point dog. And I think Jacksonville's going to get bet up. So I have no idea why, but I'll take the Texans because I think they know this is their only chance to win a game.
My buddy Howie took the Texans on off the record with Randall too.
Well,
the
he's
next
a smart
game,
man.
I don't have a read on. I think Carson Wentz is starting at quarterback. But who starts at quarterback for Indianapolis? How long do they play? Seattle and Indianapolis. I'll take Indianapolis all day long. Robbie? Excuse me. I'll take Seattle all day long.
Yeah,
Seattle's already a 2.5-point favorite.
Man, I'm going to have to look at these lines because I'm going the opposite of all these lines. I'm going to take Indy at home.
Nice. Raj?
Unless I can't remember who the backup is now that Jacoby Brissett is gone. If Wentz plays, Indy all day, easy money. Seattle has not been a good road team for years. But if Wentz doesn't play, then everyone better leverage
that changes
quick.
Things. Yeah.
It changes everything. That's why Vegas sets it at 2.5 because Vegas is a lot smarter than all of us.
The game, I think, at 1 o'clock, I'll be watching, other than the Falcons. The Arizona Cardinals travel to the Tennessee Titans. I like this game as a sneaky blowout or shootout. I think this could be a huge number. So I like the over, my first thought. I also like the stack. And let me explain the stack DFS-wise. You play Kyler Murray naked. Don't play any of his receivers, but then you bring it back with a couple of Titans receivers. And what you hope for is you get just a pure shootout. And Murray has 100 yards on the ground and throws for 300. And A.J. Brown has 150 and a touchdown, and Julio has 100 with a touch. I like stacking this game a bunch of ways. There's also the stack where you could take DeAndre Hopkins and then stack the Titans offense, maybe with Tannehill and A.J. Brown, and maybe a shocker. You actually play a running back with a quarterback, which is a no-no. But I think the Titans are the one place you could do that. Give me the Titans in a closer than most people call game.
Yeah, I agree with it being a shootout. I think the Titans offense this year is going to be up there with the Chiefs as far as controlling what you can do, and you're going to want to keep them off the field because they can, if they want to, let's say they want to keep you off the field for a 6-minute drive, they can do that. If they want to go deep and run you to the air, they can. If they need to score quick, they can do that. And Kyler Murray's going to get loose as he's done his first 2 years. So, yeah, I don't even know what the over is, but give me the over. I think the Titans win a close, really, really entertaining game.
So it's the second highest over of the week. It's 52. The highest being the Browns and Chiefs at 54.5. I'll take the under on both.
At 52, I think that could blow past that number by a long ways. And maybe I'm just living in a world that sees Kyler Murray as a better threat than he is. But you've got to tell yourself a story that Arizona can score in the mid-20s to even start thinking about this game from a DFS side.
DFS standpoint, I agree. It's not like the Titans have been great defensively. Offensively, you kind of know what they're going to do. Are they going to run Derrick Henry like crazy against the Cardinals? Probably not. And I just found, I guess it's just instinct and superstition that great offensive teams usually don't score a lot early on, unless it's like that Thursday game where it's just sloppy. Tennessee's a 3-point favorite. I think Arizona wins this game. Unpopular opinion. And I'll take the under as well. It's not I bet you're nuts, but I think Tennessee has shown an inability to really stand up at home. They seem to be a better road team where they could just mash people and run over them than they are at home. And, Arizona, I think, has improved enough defensively, even though the Titans have. I'll take the under and the Cardinals.
Interesting. Robbie, I think you're taking the Titans.
Me, yeah.
Okay. Me too.
You think they'll score more than 52?
Yes. I see this game in the 30s. I see it in the 20s at halftime.
I see this like a 35-24 game.
Okay.
35.
I'll take first half against both you guys and overall against both of you guys. $100.
Washington hosts the LA Chargers. I think everybody can have their own storyline, but my storyline and what my season's built on is the Washington football team takes a major leap forward with Ryan Fitzpatrick at quarterback. I'll take the football team to get it done against Herbert. I don't like the stack here just because I believe in the football team's defense. I think they're young, aggressive.
Awesome.
Could be great. Robbie?
Yeah, I agree. I think Fitzpatrick makes him a lot better. I'm obsessed with this theory that doesn't pan out as much as I hoped it would. But West Coast teams going to the East Coast for that 1 o'clock game, I think there's just something to that. But it doesn't seem to pan out very much. But so I do like Washington in this one.
When the Raiders were awesome
from the West Coast to the East Coast, granted they probably don't miss their flights.
Granted, nobody wants to get to the stadium at 8 a.m. ever in the NFL. These are pampered dudes. When the Raiders were awesome with Gannon, Charlie Garner, UT, Wheatley, Tim Brown, Jerry Rice, they were better than everybody they played on the East Coast. I think they won one East Coast game. They don't like doing it. The only thing I could say is because it's week 1, they maybe came out early. Being said, as a guy who drafted Herbert, despite my nature to loathe the Chargers and Oregon, as someone who drafted Herbert, I'm scared because the Washington defense, I think, is the best defense in the NFL. I know everyone's going to say Tampa. Nobody has rush-ins like that. They're 1-point underdogs at home. The Chargers have never been great on the road. Catching one at home, I'll take Washington all day.
All right, let's get through the 4 o'clock games. We'll start and see if we can get through this whole game in 1 minute.
Quick.
New York hosts the Denver Broncos. I'll take the Giants. The storyline is I won't watch a minute of this game. Robbie?
Yeah, this better not be the national game.
No.
Yeah. No, I mean, give me the Giants, but who cares?
Yeah. Raj?
Giants are catching 3 at home. Giants.
Interesting game locally, not really a national game. The Fighting Tuas of Miami travels to the Fighting Mac Jones of the New England Patriots. I think the story is who plays better. I'll take New England at home.
I want to see Tua in year 2. I'm intrigued to see how he has progressed.
Yes, good point. Raj?
I'll take Miami. More weapons, better defense.
Yeah, I'm also taking Miami.
All right. 2, great. I think this will probably be an East Coast, West Coast national games. The first on the East Coast, Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers play the New Orleans Saints at New Orleans. The storyline is, will Aaron whine and will Jameis steal crab legs? I think it's, of course, how both quarterbacks play coming off of the offseason. I don't know what the line is. I just have a feeling that the Packers will roll. And I really, from a DFS standpoint, I could see playing Jameis Winston. I think he throws for 300 and probably a couple of touchdowns, but he might throw 4 interceptions too. So
Packers are 4-point favorites on the road.
I'll lay those 4 all day. Robbie?
So this game has been moved to Jacksonville because of Ida.
Yes.
So the Saints do not have the Superdome advantage. So, give me Green Bay big.
Yes, I'm sorry. I should have mentioned that. You're right.
I did not know that. I see it now. I agree with both of you.
All right. I think this game is going to take a little bit of time. I know we're out of time, but the Cleveland Browns travel to AFC champions Kansas City Chiefs. I think this is a great storyline in the fact that we all sit around and we talk about how much the Browns have improved, how good's the Browns, what's the Browns going to look like. Browns have got 2 good backs. Can Baker step it up? Is OBJ going to be OBJ? If the Browns lay a turd, for lack of a better word, in week 1, I think it sets a tone for their whole season. This is a must play well, not win, must play well for the Cleveland Browns. all that being said, I think the line is what is the line, Raj?
I believe it's 6.5. Kansas City, maybe 6.
I'm going to lay those 6 points, and I'm going to say the Kansas City Chiefs are going to blow them out. Robbie?
Storyline for me is, what does the Chiefs O-line look like? Do they protect Mahomes better? I disagree. I think this is finally not your father's Cleveland Browns. I think they've built a really good team. I think any showing here, I think so. They're still a playoff team. Obviously, you want to play well, play it close, but man, Andy Reid's a great coach, and he schemes it well. And while the Browns have a lot of weapons, the Chiefs have more. Arrowhead's tough. The crowd, as being empty last year, is going to be rowdy. Chiefs win. I think right around that spread line is what we're looking at, though.
Okay, valuable. Raj?
I agree with Randall. I think Kansas City just hammers them. The Browns are proof is in the pudding team. They've never, ever backed it up, going back to the Ernest Biner days. And if you saw Hot Tub Time Machine, that squirrel even messed them up. Great movie, by the way. Kansas City has heard all the hype about the Browns. The Browns are nothing but hype. And I wouldn't say that. Now, they're very talented, but I don't believe in Baker Mayfield. I don't believe in opening at a very mad Kansas City team that if they would have played Tampa Bay, 8 times out of 10, I couldn't say Tampa Bay would beat that Kansas City team. I'll take the Chiefs. I think they're mad. They're at Arrowhead with fans, and I think they absolutely hammer.
All right, heading to Sunday Night Football. I'm really kind of disappointed within this matchup because I thought the matchup would be Justin Fields versus Matt Stafford. Instead, we're getting Andy Bleepin Dalton versus Matt Stafford. Chicago goes to Los Angeles. If Andy Dalton plays 4 quarters, this ain't going to be a close football game. Give me the Rams. Robbie?
Yes, give me the Rams too. This is going to be – so –
7.5.
Is LA allowing fans in the stands?
Yes.
Okay.
They are opening of SoFi Stadium.
Yeah. So usually I think this would be a very heavy Chicago invading the Rams, but because this is the season ticket holders' first chance there, I think it is majority Rams fans. And so, yeah, and yes, I agree.
Matthew Stafford in his debut in Los Angeles.
I have a philosophy. What should be done eventually should be done immediately. So, yes, I would have hoped the Bears would have put Fields in. Dalton won't make it to their bye week.
Yeah, and I meant to ask this earlier. Is there any more team that's built to win over the next 2 or 3 years and then be horrible because of salary cap than the Rams? If they don't get it done, they're facing a long time. They may be bad.
Yeah.
I think they're pretty savvy. I didn't mean to interrupt, Rob, but Leslie knows what he's doing. He gave up a lot of players and came back and got Ramsey and was contractually friendly and let, a great safety in John Johnson III go to Cleveland, which is going to make Cleveland's defense better. They've given up a lot. Corey Littleton, other guys that they didn't want to overpay. Really the only guy they paid. I think they got Brockers back or they got rid of him, but Aaron Donald. And again, Ramsey they got in a trade and was cap friendly.
But I don't think they have a number 1 or a number 2 for like half a decade.
Any team in the NFL is just one Houston trade away from being back in the driver's seat.
Absolutely. Well said. And that's a winnable. It's kind of a tough division. The Rams are 7.5-point favorites with over 46. I'd be surprised opening that stadium and just like the next game, the Raiders opening against the Ravens. But yeah, I think the Rams are going to smash them. I really do.
And then on Monday Night Football, your Los Angeles / Oakland / Las Vegas Raiders will be opening their new stadium, correct? To a full capacity?
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
Against my fantasy quarterback who's going to have 150 yards on the ground and 200 in the air, plus a 70-yard completion to Sammy Watkins. I want to pick the Raiders just because of the stadium situation. I tried to convince myself to pick the Raiders. Trust me, I like you, Raj. I wanted to pick the Raiders, and I still end up picking the Ravens. I think it's a close game. I think it's a low-scoring. It's going to be
the over's 51. That's really high.
Yeah, I like the under there.
Yeah.
And Monday Night Football, DraftKings has $1 million a single game. So I love playing those single games. So give me the Ravens in a close game. Robbie, we'll let Raj talk about his Raiders.
Okay. Oh, go first or go last?
Go first.
Oh, okay. So this is so intriguing to me because what does the fans look like? Is this Raider Nation down front, loud, or is this your wine and cheese? I can afford these huge price tickets. Is it more like a quiet fan group down low, and then you have some, your Raider Nation up top? How did they sell the tickets, and what was the pricing?
It's gonna be big Raider Nation.
Okay.
Number one, it's Baltimore, but number two, I know a lot of people from Oakland and LA that are going to this game, and because it's still shiny. It's gonna be big time Raider. Big time.
Okay. All right.
I think there's going to be I think it's a lot of Raiders. I just think there's an element of Vegas wants to be Vegas here. So I think you get both. This game.
Only 4.5. That's kind of crazy.
I think as the season trends, you get more NBA basketball arena.
On what I've got on my screen, it is the highest price ticket available, and that's higher than Tampa Bay coming off of a Super Bowl victory, unveiling the banner, ring ceremony.
What's the lowest, like 250?
No, we just did this for Tampa. It was $582 for a normal 20-yard ticket.
Yeah, I'm
saying just to get in the building, though.
Yeah, this is just to get in.
So that means a decent seat in this game will be 1,000.
Yeah, I would say this is going to be Saints post-Katrina kind of party-like. If y'all remember a game against the Falcons, I believe, where it was just rocking. And so I'm going to take Vegas in this one.
Yeah, I was wanting to put that.
The Raiders can't tackle anyone. Being a 4.5-point dog at home is one thing. I know there's going to be a ton of Raider fans there, but there's been a ton of Raider fans in Oakland and LA, and they still couldn't tackle. How many of those great seats are going to be pit boss-oriented seats, right? Do I think Baltimore is going to travel really well? No, it's Baltimore. It's probably one of the crappiest cities on earth. No offense to our Baltimore viewing population, which is probably 3 people, and I'll give you my address if you want to write me.
We have a hater that emails us from Baltimore, so
I love that. Actually, I love that dude. So, but I am taking Baltimore because the Raiders can't tackle Lamar Jackson. They cannot. They can't tackle anyone. They can't tackle freaking what's his name? Drew Lock. How are they going to tackle Lamar Jackson? 4.5 at home. It's going to be a lot of hype. They're going to get smacked in the face. The Ravens are a much better team overall. You can't base this on emotion, even though I want to, and I'll be fired up and yelling at the TV. But I know it's going to happen.
All right, guys. Well, that finishes up our. How excited are you for Week 1 of the NFL? What gets you more excited? Week 1 of the college football season, or Week 1 NFL?
For me, I like the college football layout better because they do a better job of spreading it out, and you get to watch more games exclusively. Whereas the NFL is especially if you're a fan of one. So for me, The 1 o'clock window is the biggest window, and I'm focused on the Titans game. And then after that, I spread it out for the 4 o'clock games, and then get the Sunday night, Monday night game. But I like to spread out open weekend of college.
I agree with you, Roger. I agree. I love college football better than the NFL, but nothing other than the NCAA tournament Thursday and Friday for me is equal to that first Sunday that I get to set lineups in DraftKings, and I get to set my fantasy lineup, and I get to make all those decisions, and I set my path to fourth place in our league as I annually do.
The NFL is much more of a holiday feel to it. And I'm looking.
I love college football. It will forever be my favorite, but something about that NFL Sunday. I'm a pretty regular churchgoer. This Sunday, I will not be attending. Sorry, Pastor Phillips. I'm busy setting lineups. Raj, where are you at?
That's why church starts early around these parts. But yeah, college spreads it out from Thursday through Monday and Labor Day weekend. They know what they're doing. The NFL, aside from that Thursday game and usually an okay Monday game, but NFL Sunday, the first Sunday especially, is why Buffalo Wild Wings is in business. So you can see 28 games, not literally, but all those games happening at once. And it's an amazing day. Everyone's got hope. Everyone's got excitement, sort of like, as Randall alluded towards, the beginning of the NCAA tournament. The NFL nails week 1. Week 11, I think we're all going to be watching college football more when there are conference rivalries going on and great teams and whatnot. But as of right now, everyone's got a chance.
You know who absolutely hates week 1 of the NFL is Clipper Clay.
Why?
He's my yearly matchup on week 1, and
there we go. There it is.
It's probably his least favorite day of the year. He will be getting text messages from me minute by minute updating him of how bad I'm beating him.
I would probably like to get an update for River City Media on that Sunday too. I may just throw that in there. So a little different format. We're still going to do Bet Your Nuts, but there's Bet Your Nuts. You can come from a lot of different angles now. I'm going to focus my Bet Your Nuts on giving someone a nut locked DFS play at a low dollar. So I'm going to change mine up. I don't know how I'm going to track it, but I've got 2.
That sounds like Vegas. Nut locked low dollar. Sorry, that's
so. I've got 2 for you. Thursday night in the single game slate. I already talked about Antonio Brown. So from the New Orleans Green Bay game, and ironically, your friend Troy just talked about it too. Troutman is out. You can get Juwan Johnson at balls minimum. He will start at tight end and also outside. If he scores 3 points, if he scores 6 points, he pays off. So I think Callaway's the number 1 receiver. I think this guy's fighting for number 2. You can hate all you want, but if he gives you a 9 for $2,000, you're going to be cashing. Right? No, Raj, I'm going to let you go next. You had what's your Bet Your Nuts?
First of all, Roy is actually my cousin-in-law, I think, even though I'm like 20 years older. Troy. I think you're wearing orange and white glasses. 6 points is a lot of points.
That's not Juwan Jennings. That's Juwan Johnson.
Oh.
Different guy.
My bad. Hey, I'm sorry. I just presumed that.
San Francisco.
You mean Juwan Jennings is in San Francisco?
Juwan Jennings are in San Francisco.
Different guy. No.
Different guy.
I mean, I just presumed that. My apologies, and yeah, I back you up fully. My Bet Your Nuts, number 1 is Iowa. I'll take Iowa all day. Catch a 4.5. I think they're better than Iowa State. I think they're going to shut them down. If we're going to do college and NFL, I think I did say the game I love the most, but it's the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs smashed the Browns.
I think that one too. Robbie, we all know that you're busy picking up running backs over the next few days, but in your time handicapping, what are you liking?
I'm a running back.
So I think that Ohio State is going to see this is their chance to make a statement and secure themselves in the playoff conversation the rest of the season. 14.5, so a lot of points. I think Ohio State lays it on Oregon.
Nice.
At home, right?
Yeah.
Home?
Yeah.
Smash them.
Yeah.
If I put on my orange-colored glasses, I like Tennessee laying 3 or catching 3 with Pitt. I think that number's about right.
Pitt sucks. I mean, how is Pitt a favorite? I have no idea. Why?
You didn't watch us last decade?
I mean, have you watched Pitt ever since Tony Dorsett?
Yeah. Hey, and the great thing about it, it's being called the Johnny Majors Classic. So that's the main reason I want to go. I love Coach Majors. Robbie, what else you got?
If you want a value pick, I've been on him all year long. He has been amazing. Kyle Larson at plus 750 to win.
Okay.
That's value for the best driver this year in NASCAR.
So that's pretty good. We hit a lot of stuff.
If I can have a last word real quick.
Well,
are we on last word yet, Randall? Okay.
I just went. We just got a message.
Went disco.
We just got a message from one of our listeners on the Marion Messenger that predicted, and I'm sorry, I think it was Tony Kaufman, predicted the Dallas Cowboys over the Tampa Bay Bucks 21-17.
I think that's a great call. Low scoring. I'll take Dallas.
So last words are going to come around. Let me start here. 2 new shows, not 1, 2 new shows, and I think we're going to draft y'all guys into a couple of these shows this week. So tell your families, sorry, but you got to do football. Thursday night at 8 o'clock with Brandon Chain, soon to be the host. I'll be joining it this week. Stretch the Chain is intended to be a college football preview show where we don't really have time to get into the weeds a little bit, but Brandon wants to get in the weeds with some of these games, pick some of these games, really do college football at the highest level. So Thursday, Stretch the Chain with Brandon Chain. Robbie, I think you're committed to episode 1. I don't know if you remember doing that, but you kind of did.
Yes, I have a trial coming up next week. My first time in front of a jury since February or January of 2020. So I can make an appearance. I will be sober the rest of the week.
Okay.
And leading up till the end of the trial. So, but yes, I can hop on for a little while.
How about you, Rod?
No crowd? Is it like COVID based? I mean, Corona like juries or what?
Yeah, we'll find out Friday. I have no idea what to do. A pre-trial conference on Friday, and I'll find out what the guidelines are, and we'll go from. It's like my first trial all over again.
I got faith in Rob, though. One of the best parts about him, and again, I hate talking about him when he's listening, is that he doesn't overthink things, and I think he'll be fine. When it comes to last word, you want me to go first or last?
Nope, I got one more show to announce.
Sure.
Oh, my bad. Sorry.
Sunday at 9 a.m., our friend Jeff Miller, our friend Arden Scruggins, and I'm sorry, Bill, I cannot remember your name. He's someone that's been on Nashville Sports Radio for quite a while, is going to do a Sunday DFS heavy preview show along with the biggest stories from college football the day before. So Thursday, Stretch the Chain with Brandon Chain. Sundays, the Victory Formation with Jeff Miller and Arden Scruggins and some guy I'm yet to learn his name, but I think it's Bill. So that's my last words. Now, on to you, Raj, with those famous last words.
Let Rob go because I have a kind of a weighty last words this week.
Yeah.
And the only reason
I was afraid of that.
I'm not being arrogant, but it's fairly weighty, so I don't want to.
Well, good.
Mine's going to win his first trial since February. Robbie Davis.
Mine is very lighthearted and just kind of self-deprecating. I've realized watching my face on TV now that my beard is getting grayer and grayer, and I'm having random lines down my face.
You're too young, dude. You are too young.
You got to grow it out to where you can see all the hair, or shaved where I cannot.
Oh, Randall turned the I Can't Drive 55 on Sunday, so I understand.
Yeah, happy belated birthday.
Thank you, brother.
Happy birthday. I texted him. Rob didn't. You?
I did too.
He sent me flowers. You know it's Rob Randall.
Flowers at 55. That's not a good thing.
Yeah, it was actually, looked like Allison's handwriting, but I just assumed Robbie sent them.
And a fantasy trade.
Yeah, and 3 trades. If we made a trade right now, that whole league would come undone. Right, Meta, who brought the news.
Last words. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Troy Bryant. That's a big bring to the show.
Nah, man, that's what I was afraid of. Like I said, Roy's a very smart kid, and I met him when he was 14, and for unfortunate circumstances, my in-laws took him in, and he made a decision to. Very bright kid, but was a bit lazy in that sense, like we all are, and he made a decision to never be that again. And he's extremely intelligent, and like Robbie, I don't want to hype him up too much because he's kind of an arrogant little punk, and even though he's like 35 now. But really, my last word is about Sam Cunningham. Join the club. Sam the Bam Cunningham from USC passed away today. He was 71 years old. As Randall knows, he was the first African-American player to ever play in, I believe, in the state of Alabama. They played an all-white team in 1971, I think, and USC basically took it to him. There's a legend that Bear Bryant said, I don't believe this is true, where he grabbed Cunningham and brought him into the Alabama locker room and said, now this is what a football player looks like, but it's metaphorical. I'm not sure if that happens or not. There's a lot of contention. There was a documentary in 2013 called Against the Tide. Go ahead.
That's what I was about to bring up. A lot of people accuse Bear Bryant of bringing that USC team in with Sam Cunningham as an example of African Americans. And the reason he wanted to integrate the Alabama football team was the ass kicking that John McKay and Sam Cunningham laid on that Alabama team.
Well, Cunningham said after that game is what they saw was the future. And the assistant for Bama, I remember his name, Jerry Claiborne, said Sam Cunningham did more to integrate Alabama in 60 minutes than Martin Luther King did for Alabama in 20 years. So rest in peace to Sam Cunningham. And
brother,
a pioneer in multiple ways, and much respect. And I'm speechless again. Very few times.
NFL Hall of Famer Randall Cunningham. But I truly believe that. Yes,
is that true?
Yes, I believe I am correct.
I don't know about that.
Brother or uncle, one of the two.
Probably uncle, because Cunningham is 71 and Randall Cunningham's like 50. Right?
I think they're brothers. Let's Google.
Why you got to blow me up, dude? I was saying a very meaningful thing about a very meaningful topic, Randall.
I'm sorry.
No, I mean, now you took my thunder away. No, for real. If you've never seen Against the Tide, it's a documentary from 2013. It's a very important documentary. Lynn Swann once said, the entire SEC, especially Alabama, owes Sam Cunningham a tremendous debt of thanks and appreciation for his play that opened the door to black athletes in 1970. I don't think that's Pac-12 self-gratification, if you will. I think it's fact. And it really changed the course of sports, not just college football in the South, of sports all over the country. and not just college football. And so rest in peace at age 71 in Inglewood, California, Sam the Bam Cunningham.
Among Cunningham's survivors, his younger brother, NFL quarterback Randall Cunningham.
What does that mean, though? That's
his brother. I think there were
survivors. That could be anything. Way to go, Randall. Way to blow up my spot.
Randall Cunningham is the brother of Sam Cunningham, but you made a great point.
Well,
and
hey,
also in 1971, previous to that, in 1970, Bear Bryant had a chance to recruit a Condredge Holloway who played quarterback at Tennessee and now has a statue in Tennessee. And when asked about recruiting Condredge Holloway, he said he would recruit him as a player, but the state of Alabama was still not ready for a black quarterback. So credit to Bear Bryant for breaking a lot of the milestones.
For acknowledging that, but also credit to Tennessee.
Yeah, to segregate it. Also, Sam the Bam Cunningham had a 10-year NFL career with New England.
New England, yeah.
He was a great NFL player, and I didn't mean to step on your I think they have another brother, too, that may have played in the NFL. I may be wrong. But this whole family is like football royalty. So
no, I agree entirely. And I know that he once said that, he was just there to play football. He knew what the importance was of playing in, I think it was Birmingham at that time. I don't believe it was Tuscaloosa. But, he eventually said that he didn't realize the full impact until later. However, he knew that he was, and I'm paraphrasing, changing the course of history, not necessarily with the South, but God knows what he experienced at that time anywhere in the country, let alone there. And much respect to the man, and rest in peace. 71 is too young.
So to read from his obituary, at Southern California, he was honored with an All-American. He was consensus All-American in 72 while helping the Trojans win the national championship. His dominant performance in the USC 42-20 win over all-white Alabama team in 1970 was said to be a catalyst for Southern schools to integrate, forcing them to realize segregated programs would never be able to compete with the more competitive integrated teams. Gary Claiborne, who went on to be the head coach at Mississippi State, by the way, is quoted with saying, Sam Cunningham did more to integrate the state of Alabama in 60 minutes than Martin Luther King did in 20 years. Drafted 11th by the New England Patriots, played 107 games, All-Pro in 78, rushed for 3,165 yards.
I've got to say quickly, though, Randall, I'm sorry to interrupt. 135 and 2 TDs that day, but it wasn't just about him. And Bear Bryant acknowledged that. There was a large the USC team was very diverse, and California's a different state. I'm not going to say one is better than the other or whatnot, but it wasn't just about football, and the SEC just didn't change because of football. It was an eye opener, especially in 2/3 of the country, and for the better. And much respect to the man and to the USC staff.
In front of Gate 21 at the Bowling Green game, there was a ceremony that placed a statue of Jackie Walker, the first black African-American in the SEC, Condredge Holloway, the first black quarterback in the SEC, and T. Martin, the first black quarterback to win the SEC championship. And I'm sorry, I didn't remember the man's name, but the first wide receiver that played at Tennessee in the SEC in 67. Those are now in front of Gate 21 as you enter Neyland Stadium. So I'm going to be proud to go see that this weekend. So looking forward to it.
May I say this quickly? I don't like Brian Kelly. I am very liberal. I think we are a bit oversensitive in our PC principle world. Brian Kelly recently said that we didn't execute well, essentially, which is why all of our players should be executed. He got taken to task for that. He's paraphrasing a quote from John McKay, who was the coach that 1971 USC team and who recruited Sam Cunningham and who loved Sam Cunningham. Point being is, again, I'm as liberal as they come. So is Rob. But context means everything.
Yeah, and I'm as the other ways it comes, and that really that doesn't offend anybody if you know the context. Robbie, any final words for you, other than you're about to go to sleep on the air?
Yeah, bedtime. No, I'm good. It was a good show. Yeah, thanks for watching.
All right, everybody. Thursday or Tuesday we'll be back. Robbie, I do want to talk to you about maybe popping on and talking trash to Clay a little bit on Sunday if you feel like it.
All right.
All right, man. Everybody have a great night. And for Randall, Robbie, and Raj, we bid you an adieu. And just broke my phone stand, so might as well go.
I was going to say that's a new way to go out, but I like it.